Welcome to Halloween. We are celebrating the 13 nights of Halloween, and we are, what week are we on? We're like halfway through. We're on week 7. Week 7, and this week's celebration is Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. I rewatched the producer's cut. I rewatched the theatrical cut. I got some very special guests for you today. Unfortunately, one of my guests that I had planned tonight was Lee from Drum Dums. He is dealing with a hurricane right now and does not have power. So if he gets his power on, he might surprise us. But if not, I got some awesome guys here for you. I got...
Movie Massacre.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not a pumpkin today, so that's quite interesting.
Yeah, I don't really do this stuff. I'm crappy myself. But we do animate. It's an animated show. It's adult humor. Just check it out.
Yeah, and...
I'm Kevin from Haunted by Horror. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good to see you here, man. Big fan of both these channels. If you haven't watched the Movie Massacre show, it's an animated show that's got lots of like raunchy humor and is really, really fun. He watches a lot of some of the worst movies, and some of them are fun and some of them are just bad. And Kevin, he covers everything. He covers modern stuff. He covers retro stuff. He covers it all. He has lots of facts, really great insights, just a really awesome channel. So their links are in the description down below. If you haven't subscribed, I highly recommend that you do because I'm a big fan of both of these guys. But let's go ahead and say hi to the chat. Let's see who we got here tonight. Dun 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 dun. Oh, okay. So do we not have chat? Okay. Apparently, I set up my comments a little differently today. So I guess I can't highlight people in the chat on the screen, but I can read your comments here in the chat. So nice to see you, Tatum, and thank you so much for sharing those awesome links. We got Nuclear Fusion. Hi.
Nuclear.
Popping the Popcorn, my friend Katie. Nathan Mills. Drum Dums is fucking awesome, dude. I really hope he shows up. If not, Drum Dums was with me for the Rob Zombie Halloween 2. You can go back and watch that. And he will be joining me, pardon me, on Halloween night for Halloween 1978. I'm bummed he can't be here, though, because I know he loves this movie. My friend Dino from the Late Late Horror Show. We got Fior Grimaldi. Woohoo! Yeah, party up in here. Okay, so this movie, guys, this movie is a divisive one. I know a lot of people really dislike this one, but as many people who passionately hate this film, there are people who love this movie, who have it as their favorite in the franchise. Lee is one of those people. I know Kevin and Rich. You're sitting right next to me.
My real name.
I was like, torn between calling you MM and Rich, who really, really love it. And I think this movie is underrated. I do think this movie gets a bad rap. And a lot of what we're doing here with these streams, because you've heard the complaints, you guys know why people shit on these movies. We're going to talk about why these movies are fun, why people love these movies, and especially for the ones that do get kind of put towards the bottom of the list, maybe convince you to give them a second chance by pointing out what it is that we appreciated about them. So let's talk about like your guys' history with the movie. Like,
I've actually got a story about how
I would love to hear that. Yes.
I think I was 12, and I used to sit in front of the TV, like really close up. And my dad and my brother sat on the couch behind me, and I forgot what colouring book it was, but I was just colouring away in this colouring book. And my dad put Curse of Michael Myers on, and I wasn't paying any attention to it at first. And then that flashing strobe lighting come up with those cut scenes where it flashes and all. And I didn't have the guts to look up. I'm not looking at that. I just carried on colouring whatever I was colouring. And then the Jamie scene came up when he picks her up and puts her on that farming equipment. I was like, no, I'm not looking. And then my dad's like, "You're going to bed." I'm not going to bed.
I'm never going to bed again. Thank you very much. Bed.
And my brother is like, I was like, "Lee, do you want to come upstairs?" Because my brother shared a bedroom with me. He's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to bed, so you go to bed." I was traumatized for a very long time. And that was one of my first horror movies I saw as well, along with Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And because that was my first Halloween film I watched, I expected them all to be kind of weird, like Halloween 6 is. So it was really interesting to go back and watch how like tame some of the ones before it actually was. But I always have it on a pedestal now where it should be weird because Halloween 6 is outright out there. And that's why I like it so much, because it's out there. It's completely different. And I always like my weird films, and that's one of the reasons why I like it. There's many more, but I'll tell you later.
Very well said. In the chat here, nuclear fusion. Yeah, hopefully Lee is safe. We're really hoping, actually, for his family. You can participate in one now that you're here in the office, in the Batcave. So when we have people in our coven that are in distress, we do a Care Bear stare. So the first step is you pull your shirt over your belly, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you just gotta kind of pull it up over your belly like that. And then you gotta point your belly button up to the sky, and then just force out all the protective and healing energy.
Take it!
Like a rainbow into the sky. Point it towards Florida. And that should be everything that Lee needs to... Did you help us out, Kevin?
He's like, hell no.
Well, hopefully everybody in the chat did.
Get out my belly!
We need to send that energy to Florida, to our friend over there. Make sure that they're safe.
I'm showing more than my face today.
Let's just get you right into the warm, squishy parts of the gory hole. In the gory hole, we also have Nathan Mills. He says, "I enjoy Halloween 6. Definitely has some flaws in there, but it's a fun one." Agreed. The Dude Brothers are here. Yeah. And my brother, Zigma, is here. Nice to see you, buddy. Yeah, dude. Somebody else here. This is the pumpkin guy.
I'm the pumpkin guy, yeah.
One of my pumpkin friends. Kevin, so your history with this movie, how you got into it?
Well, it wasn't the very first movie that I saw, but am I echoing?
No, not at all.
Okay, I am through mine. But it was one of the first ones that I saw. The Thorn trilogy were the first ones because they were the ones that were on TV, and so I watched all of those. And this one, it was like, hey, that's that guy from Clueless. and just...
oh, I guess they're saying there is an echo, but I don't hear it.
Is the echo still there?
Let me see. I might need to adjust this. Am I still echoing?
Yeah. You have headphones that might help. Or you have headphones on.
I'm wearing headphones.
I'm not hearing it. Hey, Mr. Flickster.
Mr. Flickster.
Try again and see if it's still echoing.
Hold on. Let me see. It might be in my audio settings.
I turned off all the auto stuff in StreamYard, but leaving and coming back often, it's just like turning it on and off again tends to fix it. While we wait for you to get your stuff set up, I'll tell you guys my Halloween 6 story. So, unpopular intro into Halloween. My mom actually rented me Halloween from Blockbuster, but at this point... Blockbuster. But at this point, I'd already seen Jason and Nightmare on Elm Street, and so by comparison, this was pretty tame. It doesn't have the gore and the kills and the pacing of those other movies. And so at the time, I was just kind of disappointed. You know, I thought that Halloween was supposed to be like one of the scariest ones, and I didn't appreciate it for what it was because I was young and dumb. So I kind of took a break from Halloween, but then Halloween 6 came out, and I saw it at Blockbuster myself when I was old enough to go rent movies myself. And I picked it up and I rented it, and I really enjoyed it because it had more of like the kills I was looking for in a Friday the 13th type movie. It was more 90s. I was a teenager in the 90s. And I think what I really liked about it, it was my Halloween movie. I picked it up. I brought it home. It was one that came out while I was alive. I was not alive in the 70s. And so I felt like a little bit more ownership to it. And I was pretty protective of it when people would shit on it. Be like, no, it's the best one ever.
I think people shit on it because they don't like that Michael's controlled, but we'll get into that later.
Cal L is here. BJ Mambo is here.
I do have more booze.
Drew Brothers saw Halloween 6 on opening night. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Awesome. He has more booze on his shirt than Gory. He has some great booze.
I have all the booze.
Yeah.
And the booze.
So, while we're waiting for Kevin to figure out his audio situation, let's talk a little bit about how this movie came to be.
Oh, I'm sorry, but can I just shout out, Mummy B Movies here. Hello, Mummy.
Mom, it's my English friend. She always asks me when I tell her about a friend, is it your English friend? Yes. It's my English friend.
English. That's what I am.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mom, you wouldn't like him much. He prefers Yorkshire tea to PG
I would
tips.
like to take this opportunity while I've got the world in front of me to tell everybody why they should drink Yorkshire tea. It's amazing. And you should all drink Yorkshire tea. It's the best tea ever. She's got PG tips and
PG tips is the bomb. My mama raised me right. Kevin, what brand of tea do you like?
Coffee.
Brilliant.
Good answer. Good answer. Child of the corners here. Very nice to see you, though. I'm sad that you lost the rest of your brood. All right, so I was talking a little bit about the history, but let's go back to asking Kevin about his history with the movie.
Oh yeah, I watched the Thorn trilogy before I watched any of the other ones, and this one just caught my attention because it had Paul Rudd in it. But going back and watching the first movie after having watched the Thorn trilogy, I was like, it was like shocking how different the tone is between these three movies and like that first movie, and it was not what I expected. So
awesome. So we're going to talk a little bit. JK80's horror fan. Now it's dark. We got some awesome people up in the gory hole today. The gory hole is just bursting with gory goodness, and I couldn't be happier.
Oh, sorry. When I watched it, I was first getting into metal as well, and it has all the like metal in the tracks, like whammy bars and stuff.
You know how like
awesome.
Wayne and Garth or no, Bill and Ted do that like wow. That's what I always picture when I hear the soundtrack. So we're going to talk about the history of this one. This one's really interesting, guys. This will take you on a ride. And the reason I give you guys the history and stuff is because nobody sets out to make a bad movie. And I don't think this is a bad movie, but I do think it had a complicated production. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So it's written by Daniel Farrens. And at the time, he was not notorious as the guy who made Haunting of Sharon Tate or Ted Bundy Boogeyman or Eileen Werner's Boogie Woman. This is also before his like really good run of doing some awesome horror documentaries like Scream, The Inside Story. He did Camp Crystal Lake Memories. He did His Name is Jason. He did Never Sleep Again. He did so many great documentaries. This was one of his very first projects, and the script was so good that the exec who read it said he could not sleep that night. It was a lot more psychological than the movie that we ended up getting. And he was so prepared. He went into that meeting with notebooks, family trees, background on all the movies, timelines, everything. Like he really put his heart and soul into this. And so it kind of started off like on a good track. And the real challenge he had was he wanted to connect this. He had to explain what the Thorn thing was. He had to explain the Man in Black. And he also wanted
no choice after the end of that.
Yeah, he wanted to tie it into some of the other movies, and there's a lot of cool little nods to the other movies. Jump in, guys, with whatever you can think of, but I like that.
I don't know that he had to go with the ending of that one. I mean, they didn't from 4 to 5. I mean, they did a little bit, but not Not really. And then if you look at Friday the 13th, they did the same thing in part 5 that they did in part 4 of Halloween, and they just totally ignored that. So, I mean, they could have just ignored it.
I felt like they wanted to do something fresh with it, but even though I personally love it, but I know it's not a very good Halloween film, if you know what I mean. They should have just kept Jamie in it all the way through, in my opinion, and it would have probably got better recognition.
The issue with getting Danielle Harris back as Jamie Lloyd, who of course, you know, we kind of call these like the Thorne trilogy with the 3 Jamie Lloyd movies. Danielle Harris played her in 4 and 5, and in this one she wasn't able to do it because she wasn't old enough to work the hours, and so she went through the trouble of getting legally emancipated, which costs money. And she didn't ask for much. She wanted $5,000 to cover her legal fees, and they said that she was asking too much, and they turned her down. And then she read the script, and she's like, you know what? Your script sucks anyway. Fuck you. So she didn't do it, and I can't blame her. And what's really sad is they hired J.C. Brady to play Jamie Lloyd in this, and I guess she was treated horribly on set. They kind of made her the whipping girl, punishing her for Danielle Harris making a very sensible decision.
A lot of fans did that too. They made her a whipping girl for it. But
yeah, and I know Danielle Harris has come out and said, like, you know, don't give her hate. You know, she and I are friends. And, yeah.
I felt like if they wanted to, even though I like it, if they wanted to make a Halloween movie that most people would like, they should have at least consulted Danielle Harris about it and asked what she thought the direction that she would have gone with Jamie instead of doing what they did.
Yeah, and I think she kind of just assumed that she would get it because, you know, they put out the casting call with her picture, and then
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, that's what she said. That's how she heard about it, was that she saw a notice in one of those casting magazines that they were casting for an 18-year-old to play the part, and they had her picture attached to it. And
it's also sorry.
Oh, sorry.
It's also weird that they asked for an 18-year-old because the character, if you do the math, is 15.
Yeah.
And J.C. Brady, who plays her, is 20 at the time of filming. So it's really hard for me. I just really tried. I have to really focus and try to remember that it's the same character because she's so much older. It's a weird situation. I can't. It's weird. I have to really focus and remember that it's Jamie Lloyd, this character that I care about. Because she just feels so foreign to me, but it's nothing against the actress.
That's why I like it so much, because when I first watched it, I didn't even know who Jamie were, so I had nothing to stick to these characters, and it was just out. It was weird. But if I saw the previous ones before that, I would not have liked it as much at all. But it was my first Halloween film, and I want them to get weirder as they go on. But this Halloween Resurrection.
I'm gonna try this. They say you're echoing again, but I don't hear it. I did change my settings to do more. Maybe if I go into the settings of mine. Help yourself, mate. No. From the bathroom? No thanks. I don't need a souvenir from the bathroom. But thanks, buddy.
So
no. What a fucking weirdo. All right. So I was telling you guys a little bit about some of the tie-ins he did because he was trying to make this franchise that was really kind of torn between the first 3 movies and the Thorne trilogy. He's trying to tie it all together. And so there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of, like, you know, there's a kill in the car that's a lot like when Annie gets killed in the first one. I like when Danny runs into Tommy Doyle, he drops his pumpkin just like Tommy Doyle did. Originally, the movie that there's supposed to be a character turning on the TV, and you were going to see Season of the Witch, but he didn't get that. But he did get a character named Mrs. Blankenship, I think, which is a reference to Season of the Witch. There's also a lot of allusions in the script and in the movie to The Shining. Danny, the little boy in it, is named after Danny Torrance. There are some direct lines that John Strode says that are just like Jack Torrance. And especially, like, you know, the original script was so much more psychological and very much kind of intended to be in league with The Shining. Like, the cult wasn't supposed to be wearing robes and stuff and being in some gothic underground. The cult was supposed to be more like the cult in Rosemary's Baby, which I think would have been so much scarier. But again, like I said, the way it is, it's fine. It works for me. I think this movie has an awesome, like, kind of creepy gothic atmosphere. It's more, I guess it's more Universal Monsters than Rosemary's Baby. It's different than what the writer intended, but I still like it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that the cult would have been more like Rosemary's Baby, because a lot of the cult members that you see are just characters that you see other points of the movie, like Mrs. Blankenship's in the cult, and there's a couple other people I can't even remember who now, but yeah,
And,
that would have been.
Originally, the reveal was that basically everybody in Haddonfield was in this cult, which I think is really creepy. Mrs. Blankenship is somebody that Tommy's known his whole life. And so it was supposed to be basically you find out all your neighbors that you've grown up with are part of this cult. And the only ones who weren't was like the Strode family, poor Tommy Doyle. And so I think that could have been really cool. I can definitely see why a lot of people behind the scenes of the movie, a lot of the actors have kind of disowned this movie. And I can see why. They signed on for one script and the movie that we got was a lot different. So a big part of that is the director they got. So they got Joe Chappelle. Joe Chappelle signed on after Peter Jackson had turned down the role. One of the things I think is frustrating is Joe Chappelle, one, doesn't like the Halloween franchise. He didn't like Donald Pleasance at all. He thought he was boring, and he cut out a lot of his stuff in the theatrical, which is just disrespectful. Yeah. But he also didn't like the script. So it's like, why did you take this job if you don't want it? He made so many dramatic changes, and it's frustrating. But the reason a lot of people gave is that he was promised he'd get a 3-picture deal with Miramax. So he did this just to be able to make more movies with Miramax, which is a bummer because he had no respect for the job that he signed on to do. There's also a lot of meddling with the producers. So this one, after the last one did pretty well. There was a bidding war between New Line and Miramax won. So that meant we got Weinstein hands all up in this shit. And oh God, the Weinsteins. The Weinsteins' concerns were mostly feedback on the female characters in this movie. Denise Richards auditioned for the role of the girlfriend, and they thought she was too all boobs. That's what they said. She said she was all boobs.
What's the main character's name?
The main character, Marion Hagen.
Yeah,
she was too skinny.
She was too skinny. And her chin was too pointy. So they're just terrible. Also, the girl they did hire for the girlfriend of the brother, she didn't want to do nudity, and they really kind of forced her into it. So
she only agreed if she said they'd give her a few seconds of it, and then they had the candle cover it for the rest. She refused to do any more, but they wanted a full scene of it. She's
Yeah, Entertainment Wizard, the director was really crappy to Donald Pleasance, which is a shame because this was his last movie. And when he read the script, he was really fond of it. And he was really excited to do this movie. And I feel like the director kind of ruined his last
something positive
experience.
Though. I do feel like as that film gets older, it gets more fans. I feel like there's a lot more people coming out now speaking highly of it instead of talking bad about it. I've noticed.
Yeah, and this is the last Halloween movie where we have Donald Pleasance. Like every movie after this is just
dedicated to him too.
Missing something without him in it.
Can we give out bad vibes through the belly as well?
Oh, kind of going through it.
Oh, I'm going to give it to the Weinsteins.
So the camera stare?
Bad vibes for the Weinsteins.
You do that at your ass.
I'll
you have to do it. Do it out your butt to the Weinsteins. Oh God, he's doing it.
Take that.
Oh God. Oh.
Is it really like prison anyway?
Oh.
He'll be getting plenty of.
Yeah, fuck the Weinsteins. Some more behind the scenes, just little trivia. John and Deborah Strode are named after John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. Let's see what else. The director Joe Chappelle, he did so many changes. He rewrote the whole entire third act, and that's why we have 2 cuts of the film. We have the producer's cut, which was the longest time just a bootleg. Scream Factory released it in 2014. That's how long it went before we actually got to see it. And so the producer's cut is mostly what Mustafa Akkad and the writer originally had in mind, whereas the theatrical cut is mostly the Weinsteins and Joe Chappelle.
Pleasure, Tatum.
Also, at one point, Quentin Tarantino was involved in the project to produce, and his pitch for the movie was that Michael and the Man in Black go on a killing road spree, kind of like Natural Born Killers.
can drive now, can't he? He's a good driver, apparently.
And
So
yeah,
it would've
that's
been
explained too in one of the scripts, because everyone always wants to know, how did Michael Myers learn how to fucking drive? He was in an institution. In one of the script versions, Wynn confesses that he taught him how to drive, and I guess he must have taught Jamie too, because Jamie's driving in this movie.
You know more deeply about this fact, but they took money from Hellraiser Bloodlines too, didn't they? To from Halloween and put it into Hellraiser Bloodlines. And there is a scene, if you look closer, there's a pumpkin on the side and it's got pins in its head for a reference to.
Yeah, I saw that. That's a good catch. Entertainment Wizard says, surprisingly, Scream Factory didn't release the work print scenes that are not in the script. Well, that's interesting. Let's see. Some other examples of the director just being a shit. That opening monologue, which in the theatrical cut is read by Paul Rudd, that was written by Donald Pleasance. It's read by him in the producer's cut, but it's just one of many examples of Joe Chappelle just kind of.
Even though Paul Rudd did do a good job, but it's not Donald Pleasance, is it?
It's just disrespectful.
It is very disrespectful.
I will say though, to me, this seems like a passing of the torch kind of movie, because Paul Rudd is definitely going for a Loomis type character in this movie.
Absolutely. He was trying to do that because he thought that in the next movie he would be essentially the Loomis character. Loomis would be the Wynn character, and then you would be having Danny potentially as a new Myers. And so he thought that he would be going in that direction. You can see it. He is so intense. And it's
he gets
so
the creeper
funny.
stuff perfectly, doesn't he? His creeper stuff is really close to people's faces when he's talking.
He gets really close, like smells her hair, like all Biden style. And, oh my God, I love how whenever he walks, even when he's not carrying something, he's kind of hunched over.
He's either hunched over or he walks and he doesn't move his hands.
He's so intense. The bus scene when he asked about who was
we
there.
We were laughing at
that. Oh God. So I think he's really good. And even when he's not maybe the best, he's still really entertaining. Like he catches your attention. Like
he's very tense.
That's the thing, especially the theatrical cut. I think it's an easier watch. Just maybe the music or the editing, I'm not sure, but it's an easy, fun watch. Like it keeps your attention. You don't you're not looking at your phone. Yeah.
I think the perfect version of this movie would have been one in between the two. Like even with that opening monologue that you were talking about, I would have split the difference and had Donald Pleasance begin the monologue, and then at some point in the middle have Paul Rudd's character just take over that monologue, so that it shows that he's passing it on in that way. But
yeah, I think there's some great scenes between Loomis and Paul Rudd too, where you kind of get the sense that a torch is being passed.
Are you saying splicing it? I'd love to see Drum Dum's Lee's version where he actually
ask him. He'll send it to you.
I'll ask him. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Tatum, for sharing the stream. So one of these days I want to make my own cut, just because there's certain things I like out of both of them, and I love both of them, but it's like I want to have all the stuff I like into one. So one of these days I need to do that.
There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense, like what you were saying, where the audience wouldn't get it, where he's like, why don't you just give her all the money? You don't even see her in one cut past the money. It just kind of happens.
Only in the producer's cut is he passing the money. And other things too, like it makes sense that Loomis is at the hospital in the producer's cut because he's there because of Jamie. In the theatrical cut, you're like, well, maybe it's because he's old. He's getting his prostate checked. Coincidence?
But then at the same time, in the producer's cut, the way that they kill Jamie it's just like,
let's talk about that. Yeah.
So anticlimactic. And so the way they kill her in the director's cut is better, but it makes more sense in the producer's cut as far as bringing Dr. Loomis to the hospital.
Yeah.
So
seeing her get killed off in the hospital bed, for me it's really depressing. After see her go through so much, and to get a death like that, it's so much better to see her get annihilated by Michael. It's satisfying. At least it's brutal. That is the first ever kill in a movie that terrified me.
I feel like if she's gonna die, she should die at the hands of Michael, because her story is so entwined with his. And there's a moment there that you can really read a lot into, however you want. She tells him he's not going to get the baby, and she reaches out to him. It's like, is she reaching out to try to strangle him? Is she reaching out because he's her family? He's her only family she has left aside from her baby.
I feel like in this movie, Michael's just tired and fed up, and he just wants to have done with it. Usually you just stab someone, and well, sometimes you'll stab someone and just walk away, and they won't be dead. But with her, he does, like, puts her on that machine, and he's like, "You're not getting out of this." And then she reaches out to him, and he goes and then slams her into it and turns the machine on. He's not messing around. Then
he has no humanity. To me, like, you look at the scars on his hand, and they do such a good job with the lighting. I love the lighting in this movie because you can't see his eyes most of the time, so he looks
amazing,
so inhuman. He bleeds green, guys.
Yeah,
and so there's something about him. I mean, it's absolutely about him that's like a Frankenstein's monster kind of thing. Like, he is not human. He is a tool used by this group to kill for them. He has no control of his own. He's basically like, just a killing machine.
You see, I don't think, like, which one is it where he cries? Is it 4 or 5?
He cries in 5.
It must have not, like, I don't know, somehow not been associated with Thorn by then. I have no idea because the timeline's a mess, because he's showing actual emotion. Like, he doesn't want to do it. But it might have been with Thorn. Like, he doesn't want to do it, but he's been forced to kill her. So it shows a little bit of emotion in that scene.
Well, okay, think about it, because we see this with Danny. Danny is being called by the man in black. Although he hears his voice telling him what to do. He pulls the knife on his grandfather, and he's fighting it. And I think a big part of it is because he has a strong relationship with his mother, and that's helping him fight it. In fact, in the original ending of this movie, it was supposed to end a lot like 4, where Danny, in the same bathroom that Jamie stabbed her foster mother, Danny kills his mother, Kara, and then Wynn kidnaps him and tries to turn him in, which would have been really dark. The studio said it was too dark, and they never filmed that. But yeah, he is fighting it just like Michael probably, theoretically, if Thorne's already always been involved, Michael would have been fighting it as a child. And you can see in 4, he has more humanity than he does in 5. In 5, he cries, but I think that might have been the last bit of his humanity.
He's completely gone in.
It's the end of his story, and he is completely devoid of humanity. And so we're kind of given this glimpse of what will happen to Danny by the time he's in his 30s.
I love in this one how he's a complete killing machine. He uses his surroundings really well in this one, like the farming equipment. And at the beginning, where you see that woman go, "Take the baby," and she takes the baby, and then you're like, "Oh, there's a spike on the wall there. I wonder what's going to happen here."
Yeah, why the hell is there a spike on the wall?
Like, a random spike. And she stands right by random spike. Like, I appreciate that she's trying to help Jamie get away, but girl.
She should have gone with her. I don't know why she went back.
Nice to see Timothy Hecklier. I'm not pronouncing that correctly. And Amy in the chat. Nice to see you guys.
That is a really good kill, Timothy. It's probably my second favorite in the film. We're going to talk about kills later, or shall I just go into it?
Whatever you want, dude.
All right, he's my favorite character in the film. What's his name? Her dad, the alcoholic.
John.
Oh, John
Strode.
I know, I do know he's an asshole, but I love my assholes in film because you know they're going to get.
You just love assholes.
Period. I love it. I love assholes. You know he's gonna. You know he's gonna get. You know they're going to get a really good death. So you're just waiting to see it.
Been on the stream twice, and the only person who's actually shown his asshole to the camera.
And I had my zipper undone a lot of times in the last one as well.
I know. I know.
He
had a kidney stone, guys. Come on.
You know, you hate someone in a film when they're acting and they're doing a really, really good job, and he does an incredible job in that. I think he's one of the biggest assholes in the whole franchise. And when you get people like that, you know, I like watching deaths with practical effects because I love how they do it, and I love knowing that he was going to get a good death, and he gets one, and I really like how it's brutal how he dies. It's horrible. Such a good kill. This is where I think they go in the supernatural route because Michael should have also blown up because he was studying water.
That basement is a death trap, guys. There's like the exposed wires, the washer that doesn't work. It's flooding with water. Like, Michael doesn't need to kill these people.
That was a bully. Yeah.
And JT Customs, nice to see you here. JT says the scene where Michael stabbed Jamie with the farm equipment was a good scene. It had some great acting in it too. It really was. Agreed.
It was the first death in the movie. Oh, go on, dude. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say all of the kills in the theatrical cut are better than the producer's cut ones. Like that was one thing
pretty similar, I think. There's just
Well,
more
like-
gore added.
Yeah, there's more.
He
gore
does
added,
this
but
aside
they
from
added the
Jamie's
one-
kill. They are the same. There's just a little bit more gore added.
I feel like though they really
Yeah,
wanted
like
to
the-
establish how tired Michael was in this, and now he just wants to get everything over with. He's just snapping necks like he does, like you said with Gore. He snaps that trucker's neck at the beginning, and you see it all.
But even with
It's
the
amazing.
theatrical
Yeah.
cut, if you look at the kills, they're still gorier than 78. There, I would say the producer's cut is on par gore wise with maybe part 2. But at this point in the franchise with 6, the theatrical cut was the goriest we had ever seen a Halloween movie until we get to the Rob Zombie ones where like we had never seen anything like that.
Yeah, with the foam and the head exploding, like
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that! Full on scanner shit, dude.
Yeah.
And I like that he doesn't die straight away. He's really suffering as well.
Yeah.
With like you said, the foam.
He deserved it.
He's really getting.
That's what made me think about that, because that kill in the theatrical cut has all of that, but that's not all in the producer's cut. Like that was stuff that
when his head
added in.
explodes. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness!
So I have
amazing.
a few things I want to talk to you guys about the casting of this movie. Obviously, Paul Rudd is a big star now. He added Steven to his name because he'd already had Clueless lined up. And he knew this movie wasn't going to do very well. And he was trying to distance himself from it. But this is his first movie that he ever did. He almost didn't get it, though. The producers actually wanted to get Brian Andrews from the 78 one who played Tommy Doyle back. And the problem was Brian Andrews didn't have an agent. So nobody knew how to get a hold of him. So yeah, Paul Rudd got the part. I would have loved to see Paul Rudd come back and do Halloween Kills because Tommy is so unhinged in that movie.
Yeah, you made a good point.
Yeah.
There. You were saying how unstable he is, and he's always really intense
Yes!
in this one. And it would have been great to see
Lots
that
of
version
head
in this one.
acting.
Yeah, and to see him as an, I think Tommy in the latest one is an asshole. He doesn't really think about what he's doing. He's just, I'm just gonna do it. That would have been great seeing that Paul Rudd in that role, because who doesn't like Paul Rudd? And it would have been really,
Crazy people.
It'd have been amazing to see him as an on-screen a-hole and to see how he would have done that. Or I don't know if they thought it would have worked, because people just like Paul Rudd. He could kick a cat and people would be like, Paul Rudd.
He's precious.
Yeah, I mean, in this movie, he's just non-discreetly staring at his neighbor with the camera as she undresses, and he's still the one that people root for.
I like now it sparks my Tommy is Paul Rudd. Hashtag my Tommy is Paul Rudd. Yeah, I wasn't crazy about Michael C. Hall, or not Michael C. Hall. That's a Dexter. Michael, the kid from 16 Candles. Is it Michael C. Hall? I don't know. The one who was in Halloween
Michael
Kills.
C. Hall is the guy from Dexter.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mhm.
What's his name? One who played Brian in Breakfast Club. Anyway, I would have liked Paul Rudd. Another casting choice, Ference, the writer, really wanted Christopher Lee to play Wynn. And a big part of that was because Christopher Lee was offered the part of Loomis in the 78 when he turned it down and really regretted it because it's such a great part. But yeah, they never even offered the part to Christopher Lee because they really had their heart set on the guy who's the bad guy in Lethal Weapon, which they got him. And I think he did a great job.
Yeah. He's
got
in a bunch of
killer
other
eyebrows.
stuff too. He's been in a bunch
Oh
of
God, he has gorgeous woolly eyebrows. Ugh.
Go for it.
He was also Kyle Riker in Next Generation. Commander
Brilliant,
Riker's dad.
yes, brilliant, nice to
Yeah.
bring in
Which
those
is-
fun facts, buddy.
Which is that's a nice connection too, because JC Brady, she was in Next Generation too.
That's
she played
true.
What is that girl's name that Picard went to school with? So there's kind of a Next Generation connections in this movie.
Thank you, JD Customs, Anthony Michael Hall. Oh, it was on the tip of my tongue.
okay.
Thank you. That was gonna drive me crazy.
Would you like to talk about the latest comment?
The older okay. I promise. I've told you guys with these streams. I don't want to shit on these movies. All right. I love all these movies. I recommend all of these. We'll just leave it at that. I want to bond with you guys through loving them, but I will tell you one thing I don't like in this movie is the older brother. He is given nothing to do. And I thought about it. I mean, I will give him a defense because he's so anti-conflict. Like the guy, the radio disc jockey Barry, he's insulting his girlfriend and he just sits there like, I don't know what to do.
Was it? But your girlfriend was crushed as pennies and barks like a dog. just like kind of sits there.
Yeah, and then when the dad is being really aggressive, he does say to back off. But I think he's just learned with having an abusive father to kind of just be in the background. But I really hate, because it's the 90s, he does a terrible butthead impression. He's like, I think it was cool. It's like, oh, shut up, dude. My husband does a brilliant butthead impression and a brilliant Beavis. It's true.
Yeah,
how do you guys feel about...
If he kicked a cat, I would hate it. I'd rip his face off. I love animals.
Cheetah loves them cats.
I love animals.
Why'd you have to say cat, dude?
I know.
Now he's gonna cry.
Well, there's this, right?
You're making a grown ass man cry. How do you feel about the older brother, Kevin?
He seems like a younger brother to me. I think he should have been.
Oh, sorry, shit. I say older brother because I think of Danny, but he's actually Danny's uncle. No, he is. You are correct. He is Kara's younger brother. You are correct. Yes.
Because I was thinking he was in high school.
Someone said older brother in the chat, and I was like, I don't know. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I'm calling old dude vampire. Oh.
I love the comment section.
The glory hole's fantastic.
Yes,
dude.
it is.
Seriously.
I love it. Cheater always does actually write old dude vampire.
He is the biggest supporter. Also, this was another first in the franchise. It was the first time somebody played Michael Myers more than once. So George Wilbur played him in part 4. And I think it's really funny because if you watch part 4, I think George Wilbur does a great job. I think he was working with kind of not one of my favorite masks. And I hate that they gave him so much padding.
The shoulder pads.
So much padding. He looks like a woman he looks like one of the characters from Designing Women with the massive shoulder pads.
He looks really wooden.
Yes, it's not his fault. It's what they did to his costume. In this one, the director had him recast when he reshot the third act with a Michael Lerner, because he said that George Wilbur was too bulky. It's like, oh, you poor man, you're not bulky enough when you do 4. They have to pad you, and now you get recast for the reshoots because you're too bulky.
It just shows what you can do though with second chances. I don't think a lot of people probably wouldn't have given him a second chance after part 4, and he's my favorite Michael now because of part 6. He's the most intimidating Michael. Just by his movements and how cold he looks, I really like that you don't see his eyes ever.
Love that.
His mask is my favorite mask. It's terrifying. I read that they wanted to make the mask look like the mask on the part 4 poster, and that's what they went with, and it looks great. And to me, it is one of the best masks in the whole franchise. Even today, with new films coming out, it's still my favorite. It's terrifying.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, like, this mask they did a life cast of his face and then molded over that to make the mask. And the part 4 mask that doesn't look as good is the William Shatner mask. They ordered a bunch of those William Shatner masks, and just the way
different faces, it's going to fit different.
Yeah. I never knew that it was still the William Shatner mask before. Is that the one where he's got blonde hair in one scene?
That's part 2.
Yeah.
Part 2 has blonde hair, and it's like pink with blonde hair. The Ben Tramer one.
He has it in 4 as well.
2, yeah. There's one scene in 4 because they ordered a bunch of the William Shatner masks and they got them and they weren't painted, so they had to paint all the masks. So they had lighter hair and stuff. And there's one scene in the school where he's got the pink mask with the blonde hair on.
That's right. That's the pink mask.
As a filmmaker, how does anybody not notice that? He is a bulky bastard.
Bastard?
Can I swear? Do
you watch the show?
Yeah, I don't know. It's coming out of
Kevin,
my mouth.
Can
though,
you swear?
So I ask.
How the fuck should I know?
Perfect answer, Kevin. Perfect answer.
Ben Tramer did look super hot.
Another casting bit of trivia. Obviously, you can tell if you watch the movie, Barry is the radio DJ is very Howard Stern. That's no accident. It was written for Howard Stern, and Howard Stern turned it down to do private parts. I'm not a big fan of Barry. I do not think that he kicks that much ass. I don't know. He kind of rubs me the wrong way, right? But I do love his kill. I love his kill.
His kill's amazing. I just feel like who stands under a tree and goes, "It's raining red," and just doesn't look up.
She's just not going to look up, dude. She is not going to look up. I mean, if you think it's raining red, you're probably not super bright. Anyway, I will say with that scene, though, the visuals in this movie are fucking
they are
awesome. Who did the visuals? Billy Dixon was the DP. Phenomenal job. Phenomenal. Standing ovation, slow cap, the whole thing. Not just it looked good for what it was. No, he did a brilliant job. Unpopular opinion, I put this up there with movies that get praised all the time for their cinematography. I'll throw this up there with The Shining. The camera movements in this are brilliant. The lighting in this is brilliant. Even when they're going down what should be an ugly corridor in this place, it's beautiful with blue and red lights and just everything. Like, there are so many scenes in this where it just has so much atmosphere, and it's because of what he's doing with the camera. Even just location shots where you see the outside of the house, he moves the camera in such a way, and the lighting is perfect.
That's what sucks me in a lot, especially at the beginning, is the lighting, because it's all blue, and you instantly get a feeling that it's cold. Something bad's going to happen. It's already doom and gloom as soon as it starts. And that blue overlay they have is fantastic. I like the red they have when they're running through that tunnel. I said that poor guy when he's like smashes that guy's face in on that railing, it's like this guy hasn't done anything wrong. They even closed the door on him.
It helps to make the movie scarier. Also, just as far as the production design, it's one of the few movies that actually feels like it's during the Halloween season, which makes sense because it's the only one that was filmed during the fall. All the other ones were filmed. It was filmed in like kind of a very cold fall, but it was one of the only ones filmed during fall. So those are real leaves. And I think that all helps like set the setting. And I really love the setting. Even though it's filmed in Salt Lake, Utah, nowhere near Haddonfield.
Mm-hmm. It's my favorite looking Halloween film for Halloween season, even today. I did like the look of Halloween in Halloween Kills. I thought it looked really, really good. Even the flashbacks, it looked great. But still, it's this one because for me, it's nostalgia as well for me. This is Michael Myers for me. Like a lot of people look back because the original. If I saw the original first, I probably would look at it and go, "That's Michael Myers." But for me, it's always the Michael from Halloween 6. For me, he's phenomenal. He's the only Michael that actually scares me. You know, as horror fans, when we're older, not a lot scares us, does it? But that Michael terrifies me. I know. If I could choose, I would have any Michael stalk me. And that one can get out. He can go to hell. No freaking way. And it's all because of his look. Sorry.
Kevin, is this one of your favorites? I mean, it is one of your favorites in the franchise, right?
It's not my favorite, but it's pretty high up there. I mean, it's probably more than halfway up the list.
Why is that for you? Is it the Michael? Is the visuals? Like, what is it about this movie that sets it above some of the others?
It's just, I love the look of it. I love how brutal Michael Myers is, and I love Dr. Loomis in this movie. That's one thing with the producer's cut that was a lot better than the theatrical cut because
agreed.
There's more Loomis, and Loomis to me more than Michael Myers is the star of the Halloween movies. Like
more than Jamie Lee as well.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the
Ahab.
Yeah. The whole thing.
Van Helsing.
I think so many times the character who's kind of hunting down the creature, in these movies is kind of forgettable. They get overshadowed by the monster. And in this one, I think Loomis is just as iconic as Michael Myers.
To make your villain more iconic, you need an iconic good guy too. And it makes them both stand out even more. Like it's like Batman and Joker, isn't it? It's Loomis and Michael.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why there's stronger story in these movies than like the Friday the 13th movies because they're kind of missing that element. I mean, they kind of got it with the Tommy Doyle a little bit, but Michael and Loomis, it's a battle of the Titans. And this is the last movie where we got that.
Baby, bring back some beers.
I will.
He has to pee again because he has the bladder of a gerbil.
I have a bladder of a child.
Oh, Cal-El, I love Paul Rudd's acting. Like I said, there are some scenes where he's genuinely great, and I'm like, wow, you can see that future A-lister here. And there are other scenes where I admit it's crap, but goddamn, I'm entertained. Isn't that what we want from a movie, to be entertained? And yeah, I'm entertained. He entertains me in the same way that Loomis does, though, because I love Donald Pleasance, but I think, balls. Yeah. I think we can all agree that Donald Pleasance in this franchise overacts a lot. He goes from being really like subdued to just like he has no middle. He goes from 2 to 11, and that's what I love about the character because I interpret it as that's how Loomis is, and that's what Paul Rudd is trying to do too. And I think he's really doing a good job of it. he's taking exactly what we love about Loomis and all of Loomis, not just 78 Loomis, like crazy Loomis from 5, who's like, you want the little girl? Here she is.
Oh yeah.
I love crazy Loomis.
Yes. Yep. Crazy, burned face, going nuts. Like
he got plastic surgery. I bless his heart. I love when he's listening to the radio and he talks to the radio. They're like, isn't that guy? What happened to that guy? Not dead. And he goes like, not dead, just very much retired. He said, I'm so old in this too.
I love that he's just sitting in his study with like the oak
listening
all around
to
him,
Howard Stern.
listening, to a Howard Stern show, typing on his typewriter. like really?
Everyone listens to Howard Stern. Paul Rudd, everyone does. Apparently, everyone is into Howard Stern.
I think it's the only station that'll broadcast in Haddonfield.
It's his old version of it. Some more. So we'll get more into because I'm sprinkling the history. Sprinkling. Like how you sprinkle piss every like 5 minutes.
I can't help him.
I know. Bless your heart. Kevin, meanwhile, will sit here like an adult and not pee.
Oh, I got a catheter.
I just pee into a cup.
I got a stadium buddy.
The bladder of a 70-year-old.
Oh, you did have a kidney stone.
I've still got one.
Oh no! All right, you're making me sad. So other things. Part of the reason why the director and the Weinsteins got really nervous about this movie is the initial test screenings was for a group that Marion Hagen described as like 14-year-old kids. Like they were really young. They didn't really get it. It was more of a complicated psychological thing. They didn't get all the magic stuff. They just wanted to see people killed. And I think that's why they did all this stuff for reshoots. And that was really, I think, a bad decision because the movie already had its budget cut. $1 million of this budget was taken away and given to Hellraiser Bloodline. So they were already, working with limited funds. I don't know, but then there's a lot of things that came from the reshoots that I liked. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Speaking of the Hellraiser Bloodline stuff, there's also a tidbit in there where they mention Michael going to space.
Yeah, that's a dig at Hellraiser Bloodline.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were referencing the part where because John Carpenter had brought up taking Michael Myers to space.
A little bit, but at the time they were a little sore that a lot of their money was taken and given to Hellraiser, which was Bloodline, which is Hellraiser in space. So I think it was a combination of a few other things. This also became relevant in ways they didn't imagine because the next Friday film, Jason went to space. So it has like a lot of relevance to it.
Left went to space. Michael Myers is the only one that hasn't gone to space.
It's time. No. You know who hasn't gone to space yet? And my husband's working on a screenplay. Leatherface has not gone to space, and he is the perfect one to go to space. Right doing that. That's amazing. Because the movie needs to be called "Houston, We Got a Problem." Come on, guys! It's right there. It's right there.
I want to read this.
Danny said he's working on it. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's what when you said Leatherface in space, I was like, well, how the hell would he get there? But they are near Houston, I guess.
NASA, man. NASA.
Yeah.
And also a fun little tidbit. We mentioned this in the last one, but the Thorne trilogy has the same names as some of the Pink Panther films, from The Return of Michael Myers, The Revenge of Michael Myers, and The Curse of Michael Myers. And this one was originally called Halloween 666. If you look on YouTube, you can find some of the early promotional stuff for this. It's called
Origin of Michael Myers.
Origin of Michael Myers, yes. And Barron's suggested they renamed it Curse just because of all the production stuff. And I mean, like I said, I think some good stuff came out of the reshoots. I'm not completely against it. I like the theatrical cut. I prefer that one. But I would just think if you're working on a movie with so many people involved, like my focus would be more on being collaborative, working with the talents I have instead of pushing people away and causing dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a lot of the problems that people have with this movie are like external behind the scenes stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
And it just affected how they approached filming and stuff. But there's a lot of great things from the reshoots, and like the theatrical version. Why is the color grading so much better than
I
And then
agree.
the
I
director's cut.
agree.
Today on the
We were
wall.
looking at it. We watched them back to back, which I've never actually done before.
Mhm.
And theatrical cut, I'm watching it on Blu-ray, and I'm like, God, this movie's gorgeous. Like I kept telling him, I'm like, God, this is a gorgeous film. Why don't more people talk about this? Because it is a gorgeous slasher film. And then we watched the producer's cut, and it's just it's the same filmmaker, it's the same movements, but the color's not quite there. It's not popping as much. Entirely, like you said, Kevin.
Yeah.
It's that
Like it
color
just
grading.
adds that fall. It's like
It's a little more orange. It's a little more fall. It pops more. The blood pops out more. That kind of blew what I consider to be like The Ring, in later years, color grading. It just doesn't quite fit Halloween.
no.
I really like the blue color grading to the other one because I just like how cold it looks. Yeah, I love it. I really like how different it is. But I do actually really like both versions. But I like both versions, but it's only minuscule the things that I don't like in them. So I said I'd love to splice it together myself, like you were saying earlier, to try and make a perfect version for myself. 'Cause the only thing that I really don't like in it is the Jamie kill, like what we were talking about earlier, where they just shoot her in the bed. I hate that. Oh, and obviously the sleeping with her scene. That's supposed to happen. I don't like that either.
Yeah.
It's too weird for me.
Yeah, that's
I
one.
like weird,
That's one
but I
of the
have
things that better. That's one of the things that's better in the theatrical version is they tone down the incest implications.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit, though, because that's one of the things, we're talking about giving things a second chance. And when I initially saw the producer's cut, especially, I was so turned off of the idea of Michael Myers has fathered this baby. It really upset me. There is a popular fan theory that I think is worth exploring. Some fans believe when you watch the producer cut, there's a really weird scene where John Strode's in his office and he picks up a picture of Kara and he has a drink and he cheers to it and he's like, "Happy Halloween, little girl." A lot of people think that he is the father of Danny, that he sexually abused her. Let me finish. He sexually abused her, and that is why he's so cruel to her, because just as Michael unwillingly fathered a child under the spell of Thorn, John, under the spell of alcoholism and just being a horrible fucking person, fathered a child from his own daughter. And so some people think that there was maybe a unintentional parallel there.
Yeah, I never even noticed that before Leah said it today. When I looked at the image where he takes a drink of his scotch or whiskey or whatever, and he says, "What did he say? Happy Halloween, girl." Puts the photo down, but I don't think she'd take her child into that house knowing that he was abusive in that manner. I just think he's an alcoholic that just has narcissistic issues.
See, I agree. I think it's interesting to look at it, and today I was kind of looking at it from that point of view, because I think it's good to hear everyone's point of view, and that is a popular fan theory. Personally, there's another scene where Kara is in the producer's cut walking on campus at the college she goes to, and she sees a couple making out, and she kind of looks at it like them in disgust. I think what happened, because she had a very controlling, abusive father, I think, because they say she was gone for 5 years. I think she went away. She, finally was free to do what she wants without somebody controlling her every move. And I think she, met somebody and had a kid and just realized she wasn't quite ready for all this stuff. And then made the decision to get rid of the guy because she wasn't serious about him, and go back to school and do something to provide this kid with some kind of a life, even if it meant having to, move back in with her parents. Like, it made her realize that she's got to kind of work towards putting Danny first and having something to offer him.
It makes sense because he does call the kid a bastard.
But yeah, so the kid was born out of wedlock, and I think the dad is angry at her for kind of shaming their family for going off, behaving in ways that he didn't approve of, and then coming back without even
that seems really uneasy,
and shaming their family as he would see it, having a kid out of wedlock, moving the child into their house. She's just trying to go to school and make a better life, but the dad sees it as she just brought shame upon him.
As like this guy in the pedestal.
How old is Danny?
Danny's 8.
Yeah, and I don't feel like she's been back at their house for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess he said it's 5 years. Actually, maybe Danny's closer to 6, like Michael was. I think he is closer to 6.
He looks a little older, but you never know because
this is interesting. So I want to point out something from the chat here. JT Custom says there's another theory that maybe the reason why John hated Kara is because she's a lesbian. You know, that's an interesting read.
Yeah.
I'd like to watch it again and have that in my head, but that's an interesting read for sure. Or she could be bi. I mean, I don't know.
Or she could be Ace.
He's a big 6. Are you body shaming a little kid? And also, good on you, mate. Good on you.
Also, the Hellraiser reference with the pins in the head was there also because they were writing Hellraiser versus Pinhead at the time as well. They wanted to do, is it Halloween they wrote for it? I was really interested in it. It was at that time where I knew it was coming out and I wanted to read the script now. Like nowadays, I don't want to see it, but I was at that age where I need to see it. I need it. I was on the internet trying to find it. And
well, the other thing too is they are both under the same studio too. And like I said, Hellraiser got a big chunk of their budget.
It's not related to what. We're gonna go with the Hellraisers.
We'll talk Hellraisers one day. One day.
That makes me think of the. That makes me think of the Freddy versus Jason thing because when I first heard about that, I was so excited, and then years and years and more years went by, and eventually I just gave up on it, and then they announced that it was actually going to happen, and it's like,
yeah, it was a.
I thought that was supposed to happen like 10 years ago.
That's one of the best feelings I've ever had as a horror fan. Probably a lot of people too. Seeing that trailer come out and never even thinking you're going to see it on screen. And when the trailer came out, I'm watching Freddy and Jason on the screen at the same time together. It was amazing. But no Kane Hodder, unfortunately. But it was still Freddy and Jason. And what I really liked about that is I read into it, and I know you'll probably already know, but they wanted Pinhead in the end of that.
Yeah, where they go to hell and then Pinhead's
seems
basically
to be the problem, gentlemen.
Yeah. Talking about some of the positives from this movie. At the time of its release, this was the largest box office opening for any Halloween film up to that point. Up until it was dethroned by Rob Zombie's Halloween, but at the time, I think people were super excited to be like, what the fuck's happening next after 5? And it had the biggest opening.
Rightfully so. I love this film. I like that it tries to write a new story instead of rehashing old stuff. And that's another thing that I really like about Halloween 6. It tries to go its own direction. And it's such a shame that they never made any sequels to it. And they did in comic book form, which... Sorry.
I feel like I gotta put you on my shoulder.
It went in comic book form where it was years and years later and Tommy was on his own and spoilers ahead in 3, 2, and 1. You ready? You find out that Michael's gone his own way after the end of this film, and it's Jamie Lee Curtis that's now Michael Myers.
Tatum wants to know about our cups.
Terrible.
We got pumpkin cups today at Safeway.
Safeway kind of let us down because they had the pumpkin, and instead of a witch, they had Frankenstein and then a skeleton. If they had the witch, it would have been Halloween 3. But
it would have been some more. I mentioned earlier there's a lot of parallels to The Shining. One of the ones I didn't mention is Kara escapes from room 237 in the sanitarium.
Yes. Shout out to CZ's World because I saw that on.
CZ did a great video on this one.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was really.
Oh, bye, Kal-El. Thanks for showing up.
And what's your Kevin? What's your favorite mask in the franchise? The Halloween 6 one is mine. I love it.
Let's see. I really like. Okay, this is probably I'd say my third favorite in this movie. Mm-hmm. I think the original mask has got to be that one, and then this one was really good. And then I really like the 2018 mask, like
absolutely.
just
it
the
looks
way.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Do you like seeing his eyes or not? I like seeing his eyes.
But I do want him to tuck his mask in, like tuck the mask in.
He has no feelings. He doesn't know.
I don't care. I just want to. Like when I hate it when I'm walking behind someone at the store and their tag's sticking out. I want to do that with Michael. Like
tell them about the polo.
No.
When we get to that character, I think we should do it.
I know, Tatum, I haven't seen Hocus Pocus 2 yet, but I really want to. I try to give you guys a witch perspective here, and I will say this is the most witchy, well, aside from Season of the Witch, of all the Halloween movies. but goddamn, do they get shit wrong? For one,
At least they're not calling it Samhain this time.
they do. They do. Paul Rudd calls it Samhain when he's explaining it, which is not Samhain.
But Loomis has it though.
Well, I think they're doing it to keep in line with part 2, where, because like I said, Ferrance was trying to tie together all the movies together. And Loomis does call it Samhain in part 2. So I don't think in this one it was an actual mistake. I think they were trying to stay in continuity with the franchise. But from a witch's perspective, it's Samhain, not Samhain. The other thing is he goes into great depth about Druid festivals and stuff and Druid runes. The runes are Germanic. It's more like Asatro type witchcraft, not Druids. So, the more you know.
Don't they mention, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they mention Thorn in the original book for the first film.
I don't know. I've never read the books.
I believe they do, because they have a different opening in the book where they talk about Thorn and the runes and stuff like that.
I would love to know.
I think they might. I know there's a lot of.
I know that the novelization's expanded a lot, and the TV versions had some extra stuff in there.
Yeah.
I don't have the big box set with all the TV versions and stuff. But I would love to hear more about those.
But yeah, I did read that. I believe that's.
It's ironic though that in this one they were saying about George Wilbur being too big, and this one they focus so much on the thorn symbol, which means giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Like the thorn symbol and giant. How the hell did they do that giant thorn symbol?
In the hay?
In the hay,
the very flammable hay?
I'm really impressed. That's all I've got to say. It's impressive.
It's very impressive.
It's not negative. It's impressive. I'm really impressed how they did that without burning the barn down.
Comparing the producer's cut, like I said, I overall prefer the theatrical cut. I like the guitar riff stuff. Sometimes it seems a little out of place. But I do think it helps with the pacing and the momentum. And also, I like when they're doing kind of like the plucking guitar strings. I like that a lot. And I like some of the grungy music because it kind of places it firmly in the 90s. Yeah, and I've heard Carpenter's theme so many times before, but sometimes Carpenter's stuff seems out of place in movies that he's not involved in. Like it just doesn't quite fit. But I always love to hear it. One thing I don't like about the theatrical cut is they have these weird like flash edits where they show you a couple of scenes. I'm not a big fan of that, but I will say it does help with the pacing.
Yeah, I think definitely if you have sensitivity to light, have like seizures or anything, like you need to avoid the theatrical cut of this movie.
Agreed.
I do like those flashy scenes, and I really like that Rob Zombie added that as well when it showed you Danielle Harris and it was flashing and she's covered in blood.
Yeah,
I love the flashy scenes, but I also understand why people don't like them as well.
My biggest problem with the theatrical cut is I think I do like the extra gore and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think both ones are valid. With the producer's cut, it is more in line with the original 78, which is more of a focus on suspense and buildup than the actual gory reveal. But if you're just a horror fan who enjoys a bit of gore, I do think the theatrical cut's going to deliver for you. So I think both have their place. What bothers me the most about the theatrical cut is I really want a good story. And so much of that movie has massive plot holes where you're like, why is Loomis at the hospital? Yeah. And at the end, it's like this whole movie was about basically Danny becoming the new Michael Myers. And that's kind of dropped in the third act.
Yes.
We don't really know what the fuck happens. Michael gets injected with a whole bunch of ooze, and then they leave. And then Loomis goes back. Michael's mask is on the ground, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? Yeah, we don't really know what happened. There's no real closure, and it's a bummer because in the theatrical cut, plot holes aside, I am invested, and I want to know what's going on. I know a lot of it they couldn't do much with because they couldn't get Loomis for reshoots. They had a body double for some stuff.
That's a shame.
I will say with the producer's cut, you get more of a full story. It does all make sense. They give you everything you need. Why is he at the hospital? He's there for Jamie. At the end of the movie, he says he has to go back. And then he finds out that it wasn't even Michael that was stopped with the runes, which I'll get to that in a second. But it wasn't even Michael. It was Dr. Wynn. And now Loomis is going to be the new Wynn. And so as somebody who's already dedicated his entire life to chasing down Michael Myers, now he has to be essentially the keeper of this killer. Like that's the worst thing that could possibly happen to him to be its caretaker, not its hunter. So I think it's a really cool ending.
It was funny how he just did that because we watched it earlier, and like you stated, how he never goes in between. It's either 1 or 10 with Loomis. And he's just got his straight face, and all of a sudden he goes, "Ah!"
It's literally 0 to 50. Like within moments, he's just like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I have to think that it's burning him. Like there's a latent reaction.
Because he is a thinker. He looks deep in thought in that scene. Then he's like, "Ah!"
And yeah, Entertainment Wizard, I totally understand that he was stopped by the runes.
It made sense.
And then he says he switched clothes after when I think that he switched clothes beforehand, but that's just my take on it. However, I want to talk about that too, because a lot of people, when they talk about why they hate this movie, and I've been there too. What's up?
Oh, we're reading.
Oh, a lot of people, when they talk about this movie and why they hate it, they're like, he was stopped by fucking runes. Okay, well, let's look at this here. This is not Michael Myers from the 78 one. This is a character who is essentially the Frankenstein's monster for this cult. He is a device used to kill. He is a device who is extremely powerful. You can't overthrow him physically because he's unstoppable. As you said, he's a giant. You can only control him with the reins of magic. And to me, it's no different than people who watch 15 seasons of Supernatural where they can stop ghosts and demons with salt.
It's a really good
kitchen
point.
salt. Mm-hmm. Okay? Nobody's laughing when Dean Winchester is putting kitchen salt around fucking demons and shit. It's no different. He's using runes, and especially if you do magical work, you know that those are very powerful things. It is a little weird that he just found them in his robe, and he's like, meh.
Yeah.
But I think it is valid, and I think I'd rather see him do that. Yeah. Oh, fuck me. Hi, Michael.
Sexy Michael.
I think I'd rather see him stopped by the runes than see Paul Rudd overpower him because, well, you know. Michael's built. He's built like a brick house.
Anyway, you just get destroyed.
What are you doing, Michael? What the fuck did I do to you?
No, there's somebody else here.
Oh shit! You're gonna leave me alone with him?
Yeah, he's sexy, Michael. And you got a camera.
This is the guy who fucked his niece. I don't want to be left alone with him.
Hey now. Maybe they.
Oh God! Stop! No, Uncle Michael, no! God damn it, it creeps me out. Oh, shit. Well, so much for my co-host. How's it going, Kevin?
Oh, all right. I want to say, though, he might not have raped his niece. They might have artificially inseminated her with the sperm that they somehow milked from Michael. So
because when they show in the producer's cut,
Michael.
When they show the other babies, I believe they're milking Michael for his sperm like a cow, and they're making lots of babies, and that's just one of them that they put in his niece. I have a hard time believing that somebody with the mind of a 6-year-old could be coerced, even with magic, to like have sex. So yeah, Kevin, I am 100% with you on that one.
Especially because if he's doing that, what's he doing with that? What's he need the knife for?
Exactly. Yeah. Checking in with the chat. Entertainment Wizard says, Gory, you see Wynn approach Michael, who's in the circle of stones. Oh, you are right. All right, good point. Touche. You are correct. I think Loomis and in the theatrical is better than the producers. I do think there's some poeticness to it, but overall, I'm just sad that we don't have as much Loomis. Like I said, the perfect cut is somewhere in between. More Loomis, but gorier kills, better color grading. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Fewer flash cuts.
Yeah. The editing's a little, it's like your visuals are so gorgeous. You don't need to do that. You know what? Maybe like just the flash alone without the added, like they would show like a cut of runes or something. I think you could have found a compromise in there. Wayne turned to, you know what? I'm glad Wayne brought this up. He mentioned the mask. I mean, you guys talked about the mask a little bit earlier. The mask is actually by James Carl Beekler, who's fantastic. The mask is so good that in H2O, if you guys remember our conversation last week, there was a huge argument about the fucking mask. So much so that for the opening scene, they only could agree that I didn't think you were coming back. They agreed that while they were figuring out their issue, that they would go ahead and use the one from 6 because it was the best mask to date. And I agree. I think he did a fantastic job with that mask. It's gorgeous. Yeah. It's also the guy who did the makeup in one of my favorite Friday movies, Part 7. You know, he's extremely talented.
Who's that you talking about?
James Carl Beekler. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I might not be, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Fan. Hot.
It's a huge step up from the Nick Cage mask in 5.
Everyone has a different name for it. I only don't like when here, honey. There we go. There we go. All right. No, honey, it's got noise cancellation. You can't hear the fan, can you?
I can't hear it.
You can hear it?
I can't.
Oh, okay.
I got a question for you. You both favorite kills. What's your favorite kills in the?
Kevin, you go.
Oh, John.
Yeah.
With the exploding head.
Is that okay, or is it...
I just don't want there to be an echo, but I think we should okay. Yeah. Danny wants to know if we're okay. Yeah, Michael Myers was in here. I think he was putting the moves on me, honey. Just saying. I felt like there were some definite moves being thrown my direction.
Let's get him down. Let's burn him to the ground.
I used my ring of power, and I was like, deflect. Ding, ding, ding. And he couldn't handle that shit, so he went to kill Rich. But I think the sheer stench that comes from Rich in the bathroom was enough to send him away, and I think we're safe.
Maybe he slipped in there with Danny to make the moves on him.
You know what? Danny is
those pictures on the faces of horror.
Oh, Danny is my better looking half, man. For sure, for sure.
Danny
hot as a woman. Or oh, it's getting hot. You asked a great question. Favorite death in the movie?
Oh yeah, mine is. It depends what mood I'm in. It's either Jamie at the beginning or the a-hole guy, but I really, really like Jamie's death, because to me it's just because it's the first kill in the movie, right? It sets the stage for how tired Michael is and how brutal he's going to be in this film because he's not messing about, and it just sets the stage of Michael's just going to annihilate anybody that gets in his path. Because I feel like usually in the ones before, when he throws around that equipment first, he would have just left them there. But in this one, he's like, no, and he pushes her further into it, and it's horrible. And then after that, there's a stage 3 in that kill, where he turns the machine on. Dude. And he's going to mess a lot of people up in this film. And I love seeing kills in film because I really like looking at the practical effects and how great it looks. And I feel like they did a really good job in this one.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And because obviously practical effects is another reason why I like the what's his name? I do apologize. Yes.
John Strode.
Is why I like John Strode's kill when his head explodes and like when he's foaming on the mouth. I adore that those two kills, and it just depends on my mood which one's higher than the other.
Danny says he thinks Michael's eating pizza of lulz. He's gonna go count our dogs. Oh shit! Don't hurt my babies.
No, don't hurt the babies.
Wayne Turner says, imagine if Ends concludes with Buster Rhymes saving Michael and they flew to space.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
I am kind of down with this. Awesome. And Suburban Cowboy, nice to see you here. Yeah, I'm kind of down with this. It kind of reminds me of the end of Christmas Evil. Like, this is flying
awesome
away.
Seeing everybody here. And what's your favorite kill?
What's Kevin's favorite kill?
Oh, my favorite's the one with John Strode with Bradford English where his head explodes.
Is it because you like that his head explodes, or is it a combination of being satisfied that the assholes has just had the worst death in the movie?
I think it's both of those.
Yeah,
I think it's both of those. Like the way it happens is awesome and crazy, and just the fact that he's hitting his daughter and being a dick to his wife. And as far as we can see in this movie, his wife is like the sweetest person ever.
She is so sweet.
I wanted to talk about that. Like you said that earlier as well. That is one of the only deaths in the whole series where I genuinely feel so bad because she seems so sweet. And I really don't like seeing her get killed because she looks so innocent. And I just wanted to run away. And I really like her.
I think your audio's off.
Sorry, somehow we got muted there. Sorry.
Are we back?
Yes.
The good vibes works. I sent out good vibes and it works.
Good job. You're practical, like practically a witch
tried.
now.
So
Anyway,
where was I? I just feel awful for her because I feel like she's a really sweet woman, and she's obviously getting abused by him too. And she's just trying to be as positive as possible for her daughter. Where do you want it?
There we go.
There you go. And I didn't want her to die because I like that Michael's brutal in this, so I want to see nasty people get killed at the hands of Michael in a really brutal way. And but I feel like her kill was fantastic. It was beautifully shot with all the sheets, and she's running through. She loses the glasses. She's like, "Where's my glasses?" Scooby Doo, and then she puts the glasses back on, and you see him swing at her. And I'm actually really happy that then you don't see her get hit by the axe because I love how they spray the blood across the bed sheet.
I think that's
It's gorgeous.
That's my favorite kill, just because I like how one, it's an homage to the first one because we see Michael in the sheets, so we're calling back to the original. But it's showing you, yes, this is the same Michael from the original, but it's also showing you that how far we've come and how different he is now.
Yeah.
Michael in the original had a kitchen knife. He's got a fucking axe.
Yes,
he has more different weapons in this than any other one of his movies.
But
he's got an axe in this one, and then the blood splattering that sheet, that would have never happened in 78. There was not a lot of blood in that movie. I also just like the way he brings it down like super hard. Like, I'm not fucking around anymore. There's no more tilting the head, no more curiosity. He is full on just a killing machine.
It's like what you pointed out earlier. She works so hard for that family. Like she starts doing the washing, she checks the axe, it foreshadows how she's gonna die because you see her pick the axe up and she's like, oh, and she puts it down. She goes to the washing machine and she's like, oh, I'm gonna do these sheets, and then
she's trying so hard. Like, her daughter is obviously, trying to go to school and stuff, and she feels for her, but her daughter, like, she's like, oh, psychology, or comments on her books and stuff, and then her daughter's like, it's psychology, mom. Like, you don't be a dick to your mom. She tries to give her some money, even when she decides that they need to get the fuck out of the house because she realizes her husband didn't tell her that that's Michael Myers' house.
I like that scene.
She still says, John, we want you to come with us. Like, she's trying so hard by everyone in her family.
She's the glue in that family. She's trying to keep them together, even though she knows what he's doing at work. He's drinking. She still says that line, come with us. But then after she breaks and she tells him, she's like, you knew that this was the house. And he's like, you go. You tell him.
Poor woman wearing crappy sneakers and stupid turtlenecks.
It's such a sad death.
Her husband's all like, he comes home and he's all like, oh, what? No dinner? You know what? What? They're spending all their money on alcohol when you should be, as the breadwinner, fixing that washer downstairs. Get your wife some decent tennis shoes.
Michael probably did more for that family than he even did because he attempted to wash the laundry. He took the sheet and he put it.
He did. Hey, Jamie.
She had a turtleneck on, didn't she?
She had a turtleneck on because her husband isn't buying her like decent clothes, so she's got to like get them out of like the dollar bin or like the Goodwill or something.
When they were watching it, that's all. She just pointed it out. It's like, she's got a turtleneck on. What a horrible husband! Why can't you get decent clothes? And I was like, well, what if she has a wardrobe full of turtlenecks? She might enjoy the turtleneck.
Yeah, that might be her vibe.
People wear turtlenecks when they're trying to cover up vampire bites or hickeys. They are uncomfortable as crap, dude. Walking around your house in the fall trying to get stuff done. You're not going to wear no turtleneck. That's bullshit. You can't convince me of your lies.
I got a question for you both. Which version do you prefer when it comes to the score?
I like the theatrical one because I like the rock and stuff. It's a 90s movie.
Too.
Let it be a 90s movie.
Agreed, Kevin Hill.
And shout out to Drum Dums because he's not here. He couldn't make it because of problems. But he did a drum cover to the grunge song. I don't know what the grunge song is called.
I can't remember what it's called either.
But on his channel, he's got a cover where he's played.
He does lots of great covers, like when he did for The Crow. I think, like I said, I prefer the theatrical cut because it sets this movie apart. Using John Carpenter's score, a lot of times, like when it's not his movie, it feels strange. Like even like the Rob Zombie ones and stuff, it's like that doesn't really fit. It does make sense, his score because he wrote it for the new ones, but he had no involvement in these movies. And I get that they're trying to tie it with the original, but I really like that this one pays homage to that with the guitar version of it, but it's still its own thing.
Exactly. It feels more like its own movie.
Mhm.
It's really independent from the others because of that.
Mhm.
And I just feel like it fits the Michael character in this more as well, because it just seemed more raw, and that's exactly to me what he's like in this film.
And we talked about before, like, like I said, Paul Rudd, even when, him and Loomis are overacting, they're super fun. There are so many parts in this movie that I understand they are cheesy, but they are so fun.
Like
I enjoy them.
When Loomis is sat at the table with, I forgot her name, we were just talking about the lady gets
Strode?
killed. He's talking really calm and quiet, and he doesn't have an in between. Then all of a sudden, it goes up here, and he's just shouting at her, "Michael is coming to this house!"
Whoa! He's so old. I feel like he's gonna blow a gasket. I love when Kara. She's like, "There's people here." She could run past them. She could run in a different direction. She's like, I'm gonna yeet myself out a window.
I couldn't stop laughing. It's really out of nowhere, isn't it? Too. She does this really big scream that just sounds out of nowhere. It doesn't really fit what's happening. She just seems really shocked, and then it's just wee. The jump's amazing. It's so funny. I'd love to play that in slow motion.
It reminds me of Gordon the dog from Friday Part 4. Just woo!
And he was just gone. It worked for him, though. It worked for him.
I'd have liked to have seen her in another Halloween film as well, or that group, which because they drive off at the end, and I really would have liked to have seen a sequel to this movie because I felt like it added to Halloween more than took away because there's so many unanswered questions.
So what would that look like? Because I think it would be really cool. You would have Kara, Tommy, and the kid. The kid would continue to act weird because he's still under the cult's possession, and so they'd have to be keeping an eye on him to make sure he doesn't become a fucking killer.
I think the cult
and then Paul Rudd's character as Tommy, he's kind of the Loomis, and so he might even go to a point where he's like, we need to destroy him because we can't save him, whereas the mom is fighting, saying, no, he's still my kid, we're not gonna fucking hurt him.
And would they have to fight Loomis too, because he's now his gatekeeper in
Loomis may act completely different. I don't know, because it seems like Wynn was unwillingly put in the role. So it'd be interesting to see how he changes.
I would have.
And then you also have Michael out there continuing to do what Michael does because he's not dead.
I would have.
It would have been a road movie. Loomis would have been with them, but he would have been working the other side, kind of undercover, and they would have been, going places, staying at these hotels and stuff, and the cult and Michael would show up and kill everybody there. The police would be looking into it. I think it'd be that kind of movie.
Oh, I'm really enjoying this as well.
Sorry about that. Can you hear us, Kevin?
Yeah, I can hear you.
My internet hasn't been great. No hurricanes.
Well, they're froze. I can't see the chat either.
Am I live? All right, I'm. Move this out of my way. Okay, let's see how that goes. I think so. So let's see. Just give me a second.
Oh, you're really enjoying that.
I'm trying.
Oh, no, it's good.
I can see you
Give it a
guys.
second.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to share it everywhere so we can.
Don't share it. Just tell people in the chat what's going on. Kevin, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is everything working now?
You're frozen. I can hear you all right, but your picture's frozen.
Let's see if it updates because there's a bit of a delay. We'll give it a second. All right. Let me know if it updates.
Okay.
Danny says that they do hear us.
All right.
Sorry.
Turn it off.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Nothing like hurricanes, thankfully. This time of year in Washington State, we call it fire season just because it's really dry here. So at the end of summer, there's always a lot of wildfires. If you live in this area, the whole sky is covered in smoke. Nothing we're not used to. We know the area, it's fine, but it is affecting my internet, unfortunately. So I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm so glad we're back, though, because I'm enjoying the conversation.
Yes. What were we talking about before it went?
Kevin, what were we talking about, buddy?
I don't remember.
Go grab your phone.
Wait, when you froze, I took the opportunity to run to the bathroom, and I forgot what we were talking about.
You know what? It's fine. We can just hop. So talking about the producer's cut, like some of the things people don't like about it. So we talked about the runes. I do think I like the producer's cut a lot. I do think it's a lot more slower pace. It does require more of your attention than I think the theatrical cut. I think they're movies for different moods, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, the producer's cut, they let all of the scenes just kind of linger a little bit longer, and it helps with a lot of the stuff because you get a little more context and like certain shots you need, like the one of her slipping money. He was talking about it before.
You do, absolutely.
You need
you
that.
Do that. You do.
Absolutely. Yeah, you pointed that out as well. It just would have looked really bad.
But just I think what people don't like is just that the kills aren't as good and that there's more of the cult stuff. I think some people just never got on board with the cult stuff.
I think the cult stuff's just a little too much for some people just because it's so different. And again, it's what we've said with Resurrection. If you guys have been watching these streams with me, you've been on this backwards journey to 78. A lot of the problem is with any franchise, people are like, well, it's not the one I like. It's not the original, or it's not the David Gordon Green, or it's not the Rob Zombie. You need to put that out of your head and let a movie be its own damn thing. Yeah. You know, this is
I would share it. Getting more people.
Yeah, like in Resurrection, you gotta be in the mood.
It's its own thing, and I think it needs to be appreciated as its own thing. If you are somebody who wants a different story, you know, I think one of and I'm of the unpopular opinion that Halloween is not an imperfect masterpiece. Some of the acting's a little bit off. The story is exceedingly simple. I think it's elevated by brilliant direction, very awesome characters, characters that you instantly empathize with. But I don't think it's some untouchable masterpiece that we can never quite ever, duplicate. And this movie, I think if you are one of those people who thinks, Halloween took a simple story and elevated it, this movie gives you a lot of story, a lot of lore, a lot of world building that I think is really interesting.
Yeah. It's like a buffet. You can actually pick and choose your timeline. It's amazing.
I always say it's a bag of candy,
There you
and
go.
it's not all chocolate, some of it is a sucker and some of it's weird wax teeth thing.
Do you both think
it's all different?
Do you both think it suffers from killing Jamie? Or do you think it would have been better if she survived all the way through like she did in the others? She's a very important character in the franchise.
She is, and like I said, it's hard for me to connect this as being Jamie. It doesn't feel like Jamie.
I understand, yeah.
So I don't really think of it as Jamie. I almost feel like this movie's independent in its own little thing. I wish we could have had Danielle Harris in it, and I would like to see Jamie come back because I don't feel like we've really resolved her character properly.
Yeah. What do you think, Kevin?
Well, I don't think she necessarily has to survive the entire movie.
Yeah.
But I wish she would have had a bigger part to play in this movie. Like, it seems almost unnecessary to even bring her back for what they did with the character.
Absolutely, dude. I would have really liked to have seen Danielle Harris as Jamie, or just Jamie in general, have at least one scene where she interacts with Loomis. And it never happens, even when she's like laid in the hospital bed and Loomis is talking to her, but she's out of it. She's not even interacting with him. And I think that would have been great to see, even though it's a different actor. It would have been great to see just Jamie and Loomis again, just have that chat after all those years of him trying to help her, even though he baits Michael with her. The other one.
I would like to see more of a follow-up. I feel like this movie did disservice to her character, to the actress. I feel like Five did to a degree too. So I'd love to see that character come back. But like I said, this movie on its own is something that should be appreciated for its uniqueness, for its amazing visuals, for its awesome gothic atmosphere, just for being a really interesting story with a really scary villain. I think this is one of the scariest movies that Michael Myers is in.
I think it is the scariest movie.
I do want to say to the chat really quick, I'm going to be wrapping things up here pretty soon here. So please, if you have any questions or comments, questions for anybody on the panel, whatever, let me know and we will answer your questions before we wrap it up.
I have actually changed my mind after thinking about kills as well. My favorite kill is where he's in Michael's in the surgery room in the hospital, and you just see him outside of the room and the blood splatting all over the window, and it's like that is, to me, that's the best scene in any Halloween movie. It's amazing.
I love when he kills that guy who's trying to run away. He pushes him into the bars. Remember that one? That's a good one.
I felt so bad for that guy. And the scene in the hospital where it is splatting around. I believe before that you never really saw Michael in a situation where he's surrounded by people and how he'd react when he is surrounded by people.
Guys,
he usually stalks and kills, doesn't he? But in that scene, he walks straight into the room. You hear everyone screaming, and you see the blood just splattering everywhere, and people coming up against the wall like, oh.
Yeah. He is a force. He is like a tide of death. You see him, you are screwed. There's nothing you can do. There's no way you can run unless you have the reins, which in this is magic. You're lost. You cannot overpower this man.
Shout out to Lee McCoy as well, because I believe that's one of his favorite scenes as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I've seen him talk about
that
a lot.
By the way, I'm so sad Lee couldn't be here with us tonight, but he has some brilliant in-depth videos on this movie. He loves this one so much.
He's a great talker. So you two. I'm drinking this because I'm not a great talker, which is why I do a cartoon. It's called animated, so I script it. I was going to ask another question, but I forgot.
You're so funny. Kevin, do you have any questions or things you want to bring up before we head out?
Well, okay, because you were talking about the blood splattering of this, like that reminds me of Independence Day, but like that scene with the alien. But
against the window, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I do have a question for you. Which ending do you prefer?
I prefer the theatrical ending. Yeah,
I like the producer's cut ending.
There's a lot more kills in the theatrical one.
I love, and it's just little things too. I mean, one, I like the closure we get in the story, but then they cut to like the house, where the Strodes of Michael's house, and they show that pumpkin and just little things like that kind of just add to the atmosphere and add to the story. And I really like it. It's got a more poetic ending.
I feel like it's spliced together, like you were mentioning earlier. With it spliced together, it would have been a perfect ending. I do like the Stones. You can, like you were saying earlier, it does make sense. And I like that you see Michael walk away at the end with the hat and stuff. You're like, oh, he's actually got away. It gives you an ending. You're like, Michael's gone. It's finished. And there is questions to the Cult of Thorn, but at least you know it's finished and Michael's gone off into the sunset. But it's just, I don't know. I don't like that I hear Loomis scream because I don't like that. Because I feel like that character and the actor, because I feel like he's given so much to that franchise that he deserved a better send-off. But unfortunately, he did pass away and we couldn't get any more sequels because of that, which is terrible. But it is what it is.
We're going to be wrapping things up really soon because my internet's not doing well and I don't want it to cut out on everyone again. But I do really like the ending. I think it's a cool story. I think it's unique. Anything else you guys want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, the story's got so much meat to it compared to older films. I feel like the older ones are very simplistic, which is why it works really well. It's why it's got such a broad audience, because it's simplistic, it's easy to watch. The original's easy to watch. And I've just got to shout out, is it Annie? Oh, she's my girl in the original. She should have survived.
Yeah.
Should have survived.
And it's Danielle Harris, the zombie ones. Hey, Monkey, it's everything broadcasting. Okay,
Greetings,
let me know.
everyone.
Let me know, guys, if you're seeing and hearing everything okay, because I'm worried about it. I know my internet's not faring well right now, so let me know. Yeah,
that original movie to me, it has a lot of Giallo influences. Like it's almost a Giallo movie, like so much.
Even this one with the colors.
Yes.
The colors.
Yeah, and that scene with the sheet with the blood, that's straight out of a Giallo movie.
And also the overcomplicated plot is very Giallo.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
Sometimes the explanations are just like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or like having the cult and everything, that's totally a Dario Argento thing. Like that's totally something he would do in a movie.
Would you have liked to seen a sequel, or were you happy that it just ended?
I would have liked to have seen a sequel. Like I would have loved if this movie had been a passing of the torch movie and they had gone on with those characters. But I know they had intended to make like direct-to-video sequels and stuff. And
yeah.
I
felt like it had a lot to offer as well, this sequel. It set a lot of things in motion to make a lot of sequels where they could have the questions that needed to be answered, but unfortunately it didn't, which sucks because I would have loved to have seen where, like what we were saying earlier, Paul Rudd and the rest of the gang would have gone, because it would have gone out of Haddonfield, this one, because they just went, didn't they? And it would have been cool to see if the Cult of Thorn went out of there as well, and it kind of spread out everywhere, and with Michael and the test tube baby stuff. It's just so much things that they could have gone into with that.
Yeah, it turns out the Thorn cult is a global conspiracy, and they have safe havens in every country.
Well, my internet is very spotty, and I'm worried that it's just a matter of time before I get cut off again. We have a stream Sunday. I'm actually going to call my service provider and see if anything can be done. But I think I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties. Like I said, it's fire season here. It will end soon. Kevin, thank you so much.
I'm really happy I got to do this with you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm so glad to get to talk to both of you guys. I
haven't got unlimited internet where I live because we've got a lot of trees, but we're having them cut down so we can get unlimited internet. And when we do, I'd love to stream with you. I really enjoy
that'd be great.
Really
absolutely, I can't wait
with
to stream more. And yeah, Kevin, big fan of your channel, guys. Definitely subscribe to Kevin. I'm a fan. I know you guys will be too. He's fantastic. Just really knowledgeable horror fan. Covers a wide array of horror movies. Definitely a treat. One that I highly recommend you subscribe to. And of course, my buddy, the movie Massacre.
I want to give a shout out to Mummy B Movie.
Mummy B Movie. And by the way, guys, Mummy B Movie is sick with COVID right now. So a little care stare for my mummy.
Oh yeah, Kevin. Mummy, are you ready, Mummy?
Hey, Mummy.
Are you ready, Mummy?
Kevin Come on. My
you ready?
mother's got COVID. Get that belly up.
The
Get
good
that
vibes,
belly.
mummy. Yeah. Take all the vibes, mummy.
For you, mummy. For you.
Bring Yorkshire tea. You'll be as good as gold tomorrow. No, PG tips. What are you doing?
PG tips is good. Just the PG tips.
No.
Just the PG tips is all you need. Like Yorkshire shit.
Mummy B's ready.
Oh, I bet she just got blasted back with it. I'd love to see the effect of the camera stare on people.
Before we go, I just got one question. What is your favorite Halloween movie, Kevin?
Oh, my favorite Halloween movie? 4.
4. That's interesting.
That's a good one. We're gonna be having that one coming up soon. I think aren't you joining me for that one?
I think I'm joining you for 5.
I know you're coming up on another one, but
What's
he
your
will
favorite?
be back. My favorite would be 78, then 2018. But like I said, I'm also rewatching these right now, and I've never rewatched them in this way. I've marathoned them a lot, but I'm rewatching them one a week, watching all the special features, paying a lot of attention to it, and it's changing my rankings. Like a lot of these movies have already gone up for me and how much I'm enjoying them because I'm really trying to just appreciate them. And I want that to be the way we approach horror movies. Let's be on the side of horror, guys. You know,
We love the crumpets,
Oh, yeah.
Mummy.
the crumpets are in his belly button.
Get in my belly, I'll take it. Mike, get in my belly. I've got another one. What's your favorite Halloween movie? Sorry, what I was
You
going to
just
say.
said that, mate.
No,
What's your?
Do you like the Rob Zombie ones? That's what I was.
I
gonna say.
do.
They get a lot of hate.
Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is my third favorite.
I do because when you hear Rob Zombie Halloween movie, like when I heard that, that's what I was expecting it to be. Like I didn't expect it to be something else.
It's
Like,
my favorite
Rob Zombie
timeline.
Halloween movie.
I love Halloween too. It's amazing.
I think it kind of fits that everyone's saying my webcam broadcast right now is very 90s AOL. I mean, this was a 90s movie, guys. It was a 90s movie.
With those little round cameras on the truck. Yeah.
I do want to say, if you do like Halloween 6, for anybody that's watching, just get the comics or try and find them online because there is a sequel to
That's
Halloween
cool.
6.
That's really cool.
The form of a comic book. I did read them, and I do like art because there's been an animated cartoon channel. The art's great, but yeah, just the storyline. just check it out.
I will say it's been a while since I read the comics, but
Mhm.
the way they killed Loomis in that one comic was.
I never know
I
they
didn't
killed
care for
Loomis
that.
in a comic. How did this happen?
Oh.
The one that gets all his backstory about his girlfriend and stuff, right?
Really? He's got a full
Yeah.
backstory in a comic.
There's one where he has a
The one-
girlfriend and there's a lot of Loomis.
Who kills
His-
Loomis? Is it Michael?
His son takes over for him and stuff.
That's
like-
interesting. So, if you can send me a link, if you know if they're online, I'd really.
I can
like
help you
to-
find them.
So yeah.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
because I read it online. It's somewhere online.
Yeah.
What was your favorite?
I
That
don't
you didn't
have
answer
the
that question.
My favorite. Oh, it's Halloween 6.
And in the chat, let me know which is your favorite Halloween movie and where Halloween 6 is in your ranking.
Please do.
For me, it's about in the middle.
For Halloween 6, I know I like one version better than the other, but I really like both versions. I like one version because it hits on every cylinder for the original, how it's slow paced. It's got the original music. There's not a lot of gore, and I like that. I appreciate that they wanted to respect the original, but I also appreciate that they wanted to hit it with modern horror fans with the new one as well, with gore, a lot of gore, and it did. The gore in this, I think, is fantastic.
I gave it the gory stamp of approval.
And with fear too, I really do believe that this is the scariest Michael has ever been in a movie. And I've got to admit, he is intimidating in the new ones with Laura. He's
In
very
Kills, he's pretty
intimidating.
good, yeah.
And in the Rob Zombie ones, I would not mess with that guy at all. But because it's a personal thing with me, because it's the first ever Michael I saw, and the first Michael to really terrify me. It really did terrify me when I watched him. When I was younger.
For for Entertainment Wizard, Halloween 2 is 1981 is their favorite. And Halloween 6 Theatrical is near the bottom. The producer's cut is a bit higher. I rank the Theatrical a bit higher, but I give them both 3 stars. I think they're both, they're nothing that's going to blow you away. But I think they are good, solid movies. I'd give a solid recommendation to. I think they're really good. They're ones I watch a lot. I don't have a whole lot of complaints. These are movies I recommend. I think they are good. I place this movie, Theatrical and Producers, above 5, above Resurrection.
Well, what isn't
above Rob Zombie's first Halloween? I think Resurrection's fun.
It's fun.
I recommend all of them.
It's not a good Halloween
but
film.
This one is pretty firmly in the middle for me.
I'd say Resurrection's like the Jason X of the.
I agree with that.
The Halloween.
If we were to equate them, I would say Resurrection's like the Jason X, which is really fun, and definitely if you have friends over. This one is kind of more like Part 7.
I do have a question
as far
for
as
you.
Like just being kind of 90s and different and having a different story.
Yeah, with this one being the Michael that I actually fear and just scare me. Have you got a Michael that's actually scared either one of you, or do you just enjoy him as a character?
I've never found Michael Myers to be that scary. I mean, as far as slashers, I will say in context, Michael is a lot lower on my totem pole. Chucky's my number one boy.
For anyone in chat as well. That stands for you as well.
I love Chucky. Then I would have like Jason, Freddy, Critters, Evil Dead, Ghostface. I put a lot of them above Michael Myers. I've just never really found Michael Myers to be that scary.
Fair enough. Kevin, has he ever scared you? Anyway.
No. I'm a big Star Trek fan, so Captain Kirk just doesn't. He's not that scary.
I know, right? Yeah, boy.
But you were saying earlier, how old was you when you saw the Halloween 6? Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you say it was your first? It was one of your first Halloween films.
It was one of the first because I saw the Thorn ones, but I'm not sure which order I saw them.
I was about 12.
It was about that time
when I saw it.
Did you know about Michael Myers before you saw that film, or did you?
Okay, so I'd seen the Friday the 13th movies before I saw the Halloween movies. So they were quite a bit different. They're nowhere near. There's nowhere near as much. Tom Savini gore in these movies, and so it was a different experience, and that probably had a lot to do with it, with me just not being.
And do you both appreciate that Halloween has gore, or would you prefer that it didn't, and it was more suspenseful like the original?
Not a matter of preference, and I mean, I think that's something I try to get away from, is trying to appreciate things for what they are, not what they aren't. I think the original Halloween was great because it did its own thing and it was suspenseful, but then Friday the 13th came out and it popularized this idea of people going to see the kills, and they're like, well, people want to see the kills, so Halloween 2, they really upped the gore. And as the Halloween movies progress, they, have varying levels of gore. I enjoy the kills in this. I think they're a little more fun when they're extra gory, because I think if it's the insanity of this movie. But yeah, I also like it when the Halloween movies focus on suspense too. I think both.
Do you feel like they gave out to peer pressure though to be as gory as possible because of the other franchises? Go on, Kevin.
I don't think they could have not done it, because every franchise was upping the gore. But to me, like the Halloween movies, it just depends on what kind of tone they're trying to go for and what they're trying to do with the movie. Because there's
time.
Yeah.
I mean, something to keep in mind, at this point in the 90s, there was slasher fatigue. So people were sick to death of slashers. People were not going to them. The fact that this one got a huge box office opening was actually really promising. But people were getting tired of the slasher sequels. It was in a decline. And so I think one of the ways they were trying to get butts in seats was by showing you things you hadn't seen before. And with practical effects, it was so impressive to show you something and have people go, how the fuck did they do that? And these days, we just assume everything's computer animated. But I think that is one of the methods of getting people's butts in seats. The other way is also just being really creepy, and that's how Halloween 78 made a name for itself.
I feel like that may have been why there was so much clashing of heads behind the scenes, because we're doing something fresh and doing something like it was the old movies, because people were just tired, like what you just said. People were just tired of seeing the all the stuff. Like, it was just getting old. Which is why they may have just gone for something completely new with this one.
And that's when Scream revolutionized it, and they said the movie basically said, we know you've seen these movies. We know you know the tropes. We're going to give you characters who've actually seen these fucking movies too, and kind of reinvent the genre, and it absolutely did. which was exactly what the slasher genre needed to survive.
I would really like to take this opportunity to shit on the cinema that was playing Scream at the time when I was younger, because when in the cinemas in England, when I was living in England, they had a spreadsheet where you'd go and look at it and it'd tell you about each movie in detail, and it'd show you a slight picture from the movie. Do you know what image they showed you of Scream? Billy and Stu stabbing each other.
That's so bad.
I know.
That's terrible.
My goodness. Yeah. Fuck that cinema.
Kevin, you have a fan in the chat. Amy says she loves your channel.
That's awesome.
Amy, thank you for being here and supporting Kevin.
Is that my wife, Amy?
Is that your wife? This is Haunted by Horror. Well, wonderful to have you in the gory hole.
Kevin
Amy.
is awesome, Amy.
We are big fans of your husband.
Yes, I'm very private on my own channel, and I very rarely do live streams because I suffer from social anxiety, but I've had such a good time today. I really have. I've really enjoyed myself.
He lives pretty far away, so it's a real treat when he comes up to visit us. He's a very good friend of me and Danny, so it's a real treat. And because he does have so much anxiety, it's awesome to see you get so excited, like interacting with people.
I saw Corn was it last week? My anxiety was so bad I had to go back in my car and drink loads. I
love it. I love how like
well, I
expressive.
This is why I love horror so much. Just people that are so passionate, like the two of you, and it's fucking awesome to talk to you both about it.
Guys, that's what this is all
it.
about. Is with horror, I feel like we are the weirdos. If I call you guys in the gory hole the weirdos, we're the weirdos. I mean, mainstream audiences don't get us. They say horror movies are all the same. And so when it comes to horror movies, I want to be on the side of horror. Even if it's not your favorite, let's not just completely discount it. Maybe there's something about that movie that we can appreciate.
Exactly.
Even if it's not your favorite Halloween movie, it doesn't mean we can't appreciate it. Let's be on the side of horror. Because you know what? Every single one of these Halloween movies is somebody's favorite in the franchise. Every single one of them is worthy, is worth watching.
Yeah, it's like even though I don't like the producer's cut of Halloween, I understand why people do. And when I watched it today, because I haven't seen it in so long, when we watched it back to back, I actually found an appreciation for it. And I really like both versions. And I think I am going to, since we watched it back to back, and I've never done that before. I've never watched them back to back. Sometimes I'll just be like, I'll just put Halloween on. But my go-to one where I'll just listen to it in the background while I'm doing stuff is always Halloween 6. And it doesn't matter which version it is. And I found an appreciation after watching them back to back for both, because they both got really cool things in. A lot more. There's just way more positive things in both of them than there is bad. And you said earlier, you just splice it. I want to see everybody spliced versions of this film.
Speaking of.
I have a cousin who writes movies, and there's some where he has to have his name taken off of, some that have done really well. And he always tells me, remember, nobody ever sets out to make a bad movie. People are trying so hard to entertain you. And so many people work on a project and so much money is spent. Very rarely is there a movie that people just don't care about. And this definitely was not one of those movies. People working really hard just to entertain you. And I think, there's a lot more to appreciate with this movie in particular than there is to hate.
I feel like they put a lot of effort into this, and it does pay off to make Michael scary again. To not make him like, I felt like they probably felt like he was not as scary because of the Freddy films.
Is so scary.
Where Freddy's terrifying. It then became a joke later on, which I adore that Freddy where he's telling jokes and killing people. But I felt like they wanted to go back to the roots and make Michael scary again. And for me in Halloween 6, he's absolutely terrifying. And I'd go one-on-one with Eddie. I'd lose, obviously, over any Michael. But that version, hell no. No.
Death Central said before Kills came out, 6 is his favorite. I think this and 6, Death Central, great point. I think this and 6 are very much like cousins because the brutality of Michael has only ever been matched by Halloween Kills. And I will say, I said earlier, Michael Myers doesn't really scare me. What does scare me about Michael is I love Jason because I empathize with Jason. I empathize with Leatherface. I feel like being a misfit and a weirdo, I feel like I could connect with them in some way and survive. But you can't do that with Michael. There's nothing there. There is no humanity. He left the door open again. Sorry. There's no humanity there. There's no reasoning with him, just like what Loomis says in that first movie. And I think that is scary when somebody looks human and you think that there's something you can connect to. And Jamie does that in so many of these movies. She tries to connect to her uncle and reach out for that humanity, and it's just not there. If his own family can't pull it out of him, what chance does somebody like you or me have?
I did kind of think that was where they were going with the connection with Jamie and Michael, though, because that was always my interpretation.
Close the door.
In 5,
up, fucking weirdo.
that was always my interpretation in 5.
Awesome.
Is he breaking shit back there?
What?
Is he breaking shit back there?
I'm breaking shit.
He's so excited to get back here and talk to you. He hadn't even pulled up his pants yet.
I'm really enjoying it. It's my favorite movie. I love talking. My favorite Halloween movie. I love talking about it.
By the way, my mummy is a fan of you. She asked for a link to your channel, and my mummy, if you don't know already, is my biggest fan.
I want to meet Mummy B movie.
So when mummy asked for a link, that's pretty rare. She's never asked me for a link for another channel before. And for all of you guys in the chat, I only have guests on here that I am fans of. I'm a big fan of Kevin. I watch all of Kevin's videos. Really enjoyed when you did all the Blackula ones recently. I thought that was really cool. Big fan of Kevin's show. You will find his link and a little description about his show in the description down below. You'll also find my buddy here, the Movie Massacre show. I never miss this guy's show. I never do. Partly because I'm on some of them. But I'm big fans of both these guys.
I really want to live stream with both of you.
I like Kevin. It's just a real treat to have you here. It's really nice to just get to talk to you and stuff. So it's really cool.
It's nice getting to talk to both of you guys. It's so great, like, because I watch your videos and stuff, and I feel like
that's the thing. Like, I watch your videos a lot. I watch your videos a lot, so getting to actually talk to you is really cool.
If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer. Where are you in the U.S.?
I live in Oklahoma.
Okay, my U.S. geography is not very good yet.
It's south, dude.
Oh,
yeah, it's south. It's just north of Texas.
I used to live in Texas, Dallas.
There's a whole musical about it.
It's about 4 hours from Dallas, or not 4 hours.
It's
like 3 hours from Dallas.
How do you like?
Wow.
How do you like deal with the heat?
I'm sweating. I got my air conditioner off right now.
He's not dealing with it.
And I do have to go.
It's almost October, and I'm sweating my balls off.
Mummy wants a link to you. She doesn't ask for links.
Yeah, Mummy B movie.
Mummy B movie.
I love Mummy B movie. I never met Mummy B movie, but Mummy B movie.
Mummy B movie. Mummy B movie.
I do have a question for both of you.
I love that she changed her name to Mummy B movie.
Is there anything you both would have liked to have seen from Halloween 6 that wasn't put in the film?
More Loomis.
More Loomis.
Because it was his last movie. I would have liked more closure with him. He's such a big part of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in this one, I understand that he's a lot older and stuff, but I would have liked a director that really appreciated the legacy they had, not just from Halloween. This is a man who's been in James Bond. He's been in so many movies. He is a treasure. He's a legacy. I would have liked a director that really appreciated what they had, that appreciated the fact that he didn't have much time left. Even if you didn't know, he's an old man. And really just, treated him like the legend he is.
The respect he deserves.
Yes.
What about you, Kevin?
Definitely more Loomis, but also more Jamie. And I would have liked to see better.
I wanted to go back in time and to say she's asking for $5,000. Fuck, I'll pay her.
I feel like the script.
I would have paid her.
She worked so hard to keep that character, and that character is so tied to who she is.
She still wants to come back as it too. She loves it so much, and she wanted $5,000. I mean, that's not even the price of a car. Like that's ridiculous.
And that's basically what they were offering her, plus the cost of how much she spent to get emancipated.
She just wanted to cover her legal fees. That is it. And they told her that she needed to do it. That's so unfair.
It was really good to see her back in Halloween movies later on down the line, even with Rob Zombie. But
There are certain people where I feel Halloween has become linked to their identity outside of the character.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis is obviously one of them. She is tied to Laurie Strode. You know, Laurie Strode is a big part of who she is and why she's had a career, and she knows that, and she is so thankful for that, and so she's emotional about it. She cares for Laurie Strode. She's passionate about what happens to the character. Donald Pleasance as Loomis is another one, and Danielle Harris as Jamie. And I feel like we're not done with her yet. We need to see her come back.
I felt sad for in Halloween 6 for Loomis because I felt like with the slapping the what you were doing earlier, I felt like he was, no, I don't mean it in a disrespectful manner, too old to carry it on for later sequels. I felt like they should have, if they were going to do that, slap it on somebody else instead.
They should have known he couldn't possibly have much time left because he was a very old man. He was in poor health. They should have
during the filming.
Exactly. They should have been like, you know what? We need to rewrite this and give a proper goodbye to this legend who has made, without Loomis, 78 wouldn't have stood out as much as it did. It would not be as revered as it is. He is such a big part of that. He is such a big part of the success of this franchise. They should have rewritten it to where it was a proper goodbye.
No.
I'm a big comedy fan, and I really like that he has like a comedic thing to his character as well. He's an all-rounder.
I love that.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
He tells Lonnie, get away from me. That's my favorite part. That's that genuine smile he has when he tells Lonnie to get away from the house.
He looks so happy.
Like a little boy. So, like, I love that. That's why I put it in the intro. I love it so much. It's my favorite part.
You see him Halloween, he stood with his walking stick. Come on, man. I just want to, like, sit with him and feed him soup.
He's got this awesome, like, just kind of Ahab, but also just grandpa energy. Like, I just want to hug
I feel
him.
like Malcolm McDowell did a really good...
I agree.
Yeah, I love him, even as the a-hole. Because that was his way of dealing with what happened to him.
We talked about that on my Halloween 2 stream.
We absolutely did, yeah. And I don't know. I feel like he's a really difficult character to take on for another actor because of the legacy left behind. And McDowell did a fantastic job. And I do feel like if they're going to carry it on again, I don't know what they're going to do after Halloween ends. But if they're going to bring that character back in, it's going to be a lot of pressure for whoever takes that role on because of the legacy he left when he played Loomis.
We have gone 2 hours, so I think we're going to wrap it up here. I want each of us to kind of end with, for someone who says, Halloween 6 sucks, I don't like it, what do you want to say to them to maybe convince them to give it another shot? What about this movie deserves a second chance? It
doesn't suck. You've got 2 different versions for crying out loud.
Yeah, this is 2 movies.
It's amazing. You don't just have one, you get 2. And then there's so much things you could even splice it together for a third. You've got 3. And there's so much stuff to sink your teeth into, which is a lot of meat with this one to further the franchise as well. And I like, even though it's bad, people see it as bad when people like ask so many questions and they don't answer it. I really like it as well when questions aren't answered because it leaves it to your own imagination. And I really like what it does with that as well. I think it's phenomenal. I like both versions. There's a version for each fan. If you like metal and stuff, you've got your Halloween metal. If you like the original without the gore, it really does go in that direction. It tries hard to.
You're a purist and you want that 78 experience.
Even if it does like trip on either side, you can still splice it and it's good for either fan. But I think it's a phenomenal sequel. I think it's the best sequel in the franchise. Because of all the different directions it takes, but you should watch it. It's phenomenal, and
you're awesome.
You really are not. You're missing out if you don't watch either version or the special features. You need to watch it.
I want more special features for sure. I know the 4K releases have more, so hopefully I can look into those. But I would love more special features. Also, I just realized your shirt is actually in line with Halloween. That's Bob. Michael Myers dressed up as Bob. 78.
Did you have it on 4K yet?
I do not. I have it on Blu-ray, but it looks gorgeous.
It looks gorgeous on Blu-ray.
Gorgeous. Say it the way you say it.
It looks gorgeous in Blu-ray. If you have a chance to check it out, I do recommend Blu-ray. But either way, it looks fucking outstanding.
I haven't seen the 4K, version. But the Blu-ray looks fantastic. I have the Blu-ray that's in the more condensed set from Scream Factory, not the big one, and I have the producer's cut Blu-ray.
And either version's great, even though one version it has its ups and downs. Where I don't know, nobody likes it's obvious with the incest thing. It's not very good, but I feel like you will even like it more if you watch it as a standalone film instead of thinking about the other movies to say that's not my Michael. Well, it is because he's written that way, so that is Michael. So enjoy it for what it is. It's a phenomenal film.
Let it be its own thing.
I need to get it out of my system.
You can't hate taffy because it's not chocolate, because it's taffy.
Absolutely.
So you either appreciate taffy or you don't. Yeah. But
and if you want
you can't be mad at it for being something that's not. You can't be mad at a dog for not being a cat. It's just not the way it works.
And if you want to experience, in my opinion, Michael at his peak of
brutality
and brutality, just check it out. He's terrifying in this, I believe, in both versions.
He's a force. He's an unstoppable force.
He's
unmatched only by Halloween Kills.
Mm-hmm.
And that's terrifying. I mean, him coming towards you in this movie is scarier, I think, than 78.
I do agree with that central with the Halloween Kills thing as well. Because we have similar tastes in films. So yeah,
absolutely. If you are a fan of Kills and you haven't seen this one, you need to, because I definitely would recommend this to fans of Kills.
If you like the most brutal side to Michael, anyway, because the other versions it's quite tame. If you like the brutal side and you want to see him just annihilate people, fucking Curses what you want to watch. It's amazing.
Kevin,
and you don't have to deal with anybody saying evil dies tonight. Like, they don't say it once in this movie.
Brief segue. Death Central wants to know what movie you guys are most excited for in October. I don't know if it's October, but I really want to see Hellraiser. The new
so
one.
that's straight away. Hellraiser.
Jamie Clayton. The new Hellraiser's coming out in October on Hulu.
Yeah, it is October.
Okay.
What did you say, Kevin? Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, it is October, the new Hellraiser on.
Hellraiser.
Mine is Hellraiser. It looks fucking phenomenal. I'm going to say Jamie Hater because of AEW. Jamie Clayton looks absolutely fucking outstanding. And when I heard a voice in the trailer, because I was worried about how she'd sound, I was really curious about how they'd make a voice sound, and she sounds phenomenal to me. And I like that they've gone, it looks like they've put more attention on the Cenobites. And they don't do that in the sequels. We want to see Cenobites. I feel like they had a really big opportunity in part 3 to go into their world. And they didn't. They went backwards. They brought Pinhead to Earth. And even though it was enjoyable, fucking Motorhead, and but it kind of went backwards instead of going forwards. And I feel like this one, maybe going forward, is a shame. I don't like seeing films come out on streaming services. I would love to see Hellraiser on the big screen, the new one. But I'm just really happy that we're getting it because it's been so long since we got a. Even though I do like, is it Judgment? I like Judgment. It's a good film.
Seen it.
But I feel like we're getting a fucking.
I thought it was a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
I like that they seem to.
It was the first one in a long time that felt like a Hellraiser movie.
Yes, and it had potential with the bringing angels into it as well. So you're gonna have heaven versus hell here. But I'm really looking forward to it.
Death Central's looking forward to Terrifier 2, which I'm also really looking forward to.
Absolutely.
Also, I want to say a big shout out to Executive Sessions 420. Nice to have you in the gory hole.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I had a lot to say about that. What are you both looking forward to in October? Even though you said Hellraiser.
But Terrifier 2 as well. I've heard it. I'm really Are you Hellhounds, Parker? Dad's mad.
I'm really sorry, Death. I'm really happy that Terrifier 2 has a 2 hours and 20-minute runtime. Apparently, it's for Death Central. It's been so long that we haven't had anything remotely for Terrifier that we're getting a lengthy movie like that. It's so much to just sink your teeth into, and I'm really excited to get a lengthy Terrifier film. And it's going to confirm to us if he is a legitimate. Go for it. A slasher icon, a horror icon.
Crazy. If you guys know me, you watch my show, you guys know I'm terrified of mimes. So that's one that actually gets under my skin.
Yes.
And Maverick Media is here. Awesome to see you, buddy. He says he's so bummed he wanted to be here from the start of the stream. It's one of his favorites. I'm a huge fan of Maverick Media. I'm just glad he's
Maverick
here.
Media follows me on Twitter, but he probably doesn't know who I am because I am Movie Massacre. He follows me on Twitter, but I don't.
He's the really pervy pumpkin that pees a lot.
Yes.
Kevin, so if someone says, Halloween 6 is shit, I don't like it. What do you want to say to that person to make them give this one a second viewing, a second chance?
I'd say it's got a dude's head fucking explode.
Thank you.
That's all you need to know.
Eloquent. I need a shirt that says that.
It's got a dude that fucking explodes. Dude's head that fucking explodes.
Kevin,
What about
that's
you?
fucking Shakespearean right there. I think I said a lot of what I want to say. Just that, you know, we need to allow things to be different. You know, we don't. If you wanted the exact same movie, just watch 78 again. If you want the exact same Rob Zombie movie or David Gordon Green movie, you have that. It's still there.
All those movies are there. You can watch them anytime.
And when you watch it as its own thing, not as
I agree.
not as a sequel, I think you might appreciate it for what it is.
Do you both like that Michael's controlled, or is that a big no-no?
I think it's a different thing. Do I want the Michael from 78 controlled? No, because that makes him less scary. But the one in this, that is what the character is.
I feel like that's the big put-off for a lot of people in this film. That he's actually controlled by...
I think of it a lot like, I mean, I'm not any less scared of a guard dog because somebody's controlling it and has trained it.
Mm-hmm.
It's still going to kill me. It's a lot different than a very mysterious man who's stalking me for God knows what reason. That's why 78 is scary. This is scary for different reasons. This is an unstoppable force that you can't reason with. That's just death on two legs. And it can't be stopped by you because you're not holding the reins. You know, you are fucked. If he's after you, you're screwed.
And Kevin, do you like the cult stuff in it? So
I mean, I guess to add to that,
Okay.
like, if you're not doing drugs and having sex, you're fine. A lot of these movies, you're fine. But in this one, there's nothing you can do.
No, there isn't.
I do like the cult stuff, but I do think at times that it puts Michael Myers in the back seat a little bit, where like, you know, like in the scenes where they're doing their cult stuff and he's just kind of standing there watching. It's like,
I agree with that.
Why is he in this scene? The scene would have had more impact if he wasn't even in it.
I would like to
agree.
see him chained up or something.
That would be
Which
great,
shows how scary he is. That even they are like, you know, this is a dangerous animal.
I like that it also shows that he still does kind of think for himself, even though that he is under a cult. When he does go into that surgery room and you see him annihilate or he just destroy all those doctors and the nurses in that. So, and then, which goes back to the part in the early film where he's crying. It's like he still does have his own. Still wants to do his own thing, but I would have loved to have seen in a sequel where he's kind of fighting against Thor if he wants to do his own thing or to be controlled by people. I would have really liked
that
to have
would have
seen
been
that
cool in a
sequel.
follow up to this because the cult would be focusing on Danny.
Yeah, but he also, even though
Damn it! Now I have to pee.
even though he's a murderer, it would.
All right, can I trust you?
Yeah, go for it. Even though he is he's an absolute psycho, it would have been really cool for him to question how his own morals. Does he fight against the cult so he can, go killing, do what he wants, kill people for his own pleasure, or does he fight against the cult because they control him? Because it does feel like he's kind of conflicted in both versions in a few scenes with the cult stuff.
Yeah, and like I feel like it might have worked better if he just killed the cult because he had an opportunity and he wanted to kill them. Like he just killing to kill, and it's like they're trying to control him, but he just wants to fucking massacre everybody that he comes across.
Absolutely. I felt like the scene I just said, I felt like they actually dabbled in that, and I feel like they would have explored that a lot more in a sequel. Hello, my baby boy. Which unfortunately they didn't do, which I would have loved to have seen. Are you okay?
I fell on your bed. All right, let's wrap this up.
I do have one more question.
Okay.
Do you like the meteor Michael or the slimmer Michael? Because they're two different people playing in this one, didn't they? One where he looked slimmer because they didn't like how chunkier he was. But personally, I liked the meteor version because it just feels more threatening.
Yeah, he's more intimidating, especially when you contrast the two of them. When you're like in one scene and he's like beefy, and then you switch to the next scene and he's like trim, and it's like
you guys make it seem like the hefty bag, like hefty, wimpy.
Yeah, but it just feels like. Has anybody seen Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Have you ever watched that?
I've watched a couple episodes.
Have you seen the aluminum monster episode where Dee's got a back brace on? And it cuts to the very first scene where he's chasing Jamie, and it's a fucking amazing scene where you see Jamie walk out of that. You know what I mean? I can't explain it very well. Where she walks out of that thing, and there's all the smoke, and you see Michael kind of walk out, and his back's like stuck up straight as he's walking, and it looks terrible. It looks like he's just got like the aluminum monster stuff stuck to his back. Then, like,
oh no, dude.
You know what I mean, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. I'm not very good at explaining my thoughts. I do apologize. I agree. He should never be controlled, death control. Never.
You know, like in this, I think it's not much different. You just have to think of it in a different way. Like, is eaten alive any less scary because the crocodile is being controlled by somebody? Is it less scary when there's somebody behind it, you know? And this movie is a take on Michael Myers where they're trying to explain why he kills. And they're saying there's a cult behind it. And I don't think it makes him any less scary. In fact, I think he's scarier in this than he has been in a lot of ones. Because he doesn't have personal motivation for killing. He's being used. Just like a dog that's trained to attack. So, yeah, like I said, watch it as its own thing. Don't watch it as Michael Myers being controlled. Watch it as there is a entity, a being that is being controlled here. And just accept it for what it is. It has a different mythology than some of the other Halloween movies. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up now because we are like approaching 2.5 hours.
I really enjoyed the stream.
Oh, no, don't you dare eat that dog. No, that's our baby.
Not my baby.
No, Brewster.
That
is not a snack.
Get something out of the fridge.
But Halloween 6 is why horror is so great.
Did you see that Michael Myers has a bald spot?
We'll go see him soon.
Old, guys. He's getting old.
Halloween 6 is why horror
getting old.
you get multiple versions of a really good film. And that's why I like the Halloween franchise so much, because you get you get timelines. You can pick and choose your timeline. It's fucking great. You can buy all the movies and I'll just put this here, blah blah blah. It's great, and I love it.
You can make it your own.
You can make the timeline your own.
Or you could do like I do and just imagine that all the timelines happened, and Laurie Strode is just like abandoning her kids and moving on to other places, trying to protect them, by running off. And like, if they're not with me, Michael won't come back.
I like to think of the cult as even bigger than the Cult of Thorn. I like to think of it as involving Silver Shamrock, with the mask being cursed and stuff. So I think it's even bigger than them. That's how I watch it.
Yeah, there's a lot of connections.
That
in this
mask he was wearing, the clown was as a child, was cursed and drawing, compelling him to kill. And I like to think the mask that he wears now is too. So, there's so much room to interpret these movies however you want to.
Do you both think it suffers for not having Jamie Lee Curtis?
No, not at all. She would not have worked in this movie.
Yeah, I don't think so.
The Thorn trilogies are about Jamie Lloyd, brah.
I don't know if you both agree.
Don't mix your peas and your carrots.
They call it the Thorn trilogy, but I just see 4 and 5 together, and I see 6 as its own thing.
I'm kind of the same. Just like how they say H2O and Resurrection, I view H2O separate from Resurrection. I like Resurrection, but I like it better when I don't consider it as a follow-up to H2O.
Resurrection is my worst cinematic experience.
Give it a second chance, dude. Give it a second chance. It's a beer and pizza movie.
I do think, though, that having her in it could have had a really dramatic impact if you had Jamie's death and like her mom coming in.
Absolutely,
and, like, that could be cool.
That'd have been great.
That would have been cool. That would have made more sense than just killing her off to kill her off.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
But I like that they used winning it. It was mentioned in the original.
Yeah,
I've milked it as much as I can. I'm trying.
All right, guys, why don't you tell everyone in the chat what you were working on your channels and where they can find you?
I'll let you go first.
This is my show, Gordy Movie Show. We'll be back on Sundays for Fight Night on Sunday. This week, witches are fighting, and for whatever fucking reason, the roster was voted that I'm in it. So check that out. Let's see how I do. I'm probably gonna get killed. It's gonna be awesome.
For me, I find Halloween season as a YouTuber to be the most stressful because it's my favorite season. I like to go out and enjoy it instead of being stuck to doing content. But I do have Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong out on Monday. And then I'm traveling with my dad for 4 weeks in October, so I won't be able to put anything out. So I'm just going to do a podcast instead, where I just talk about
Sounds
horror
good.
for October.
I have some stuff coming up on my channel. I have one video where I do a discussion of Blood and Black Lace, and then
good baba.
Yeah, and I did a couple where I just went out and bought Halloween stuff, and I was like, "Hey, look at this cool stuff I got."
Is that from Spirit Halloween? Or
yeah, it's Spirit Halloween, Dollar
Nice.
Tree. You know, they have some really cool stuff at Dollar Tree this year for Halloween.
I'll check it
They
out.
have that
Yeah.
Beyond. they have that like Five Below type section at Dollar Tree now, so they have some nicer stuff. Yeah,
Dollar Tree is awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Kevin. You were a treat. So much fun, guys. Check out his channel in the description below.
Check him out.
If
I love
you are
him.
not subscribing, you are missing out. He is your gift with purchase for watching this stream. You just get more amazing content over on his channel, Haunted by Horror. Also, check out my buddy here, the Movie Massacre Show. He's just a lovely human. You would think he's a pervy pumpkin.
It's just the character that I write.
It's just a character.
People get me mixed up. The character mixed up with me.
It's hilarious, though. His reviews are
like
hilarious.
In Philadelphia, he's not actually like that. It's just a good comedy.
It's a pleasure to have a first live stream. You're the first person other than Gory that I've live streamed with. I've live streamed the Gory in person, like next to him, but I've never actually had anybody on the other side, and I really, really enjoyed it.
You're so funny.
This is only my second live stream. I've had a lot of fun talking to you guys. This is super exciting.
You're awesome.
I love your background.
I'm glad you're coming back, guys. I will tell you. Let me take a look at where we're at on my streams. You will see Kevin again. He's coming back for Halloween 5.
Nice.
So we'll be talking about Halloween 5 on October 5th with Kim, who's coming back, and Jack Stannis, 2 really good friends of mine. So come back October 2nd for Fight Night.
You're doing Halloween 3 as well. That's awesome.
Come back. I'm doing all of them. Come back October 5th for Halloween 5. And yeah, every week until Halloween. We're going to do all the Halloween movies, guys. It's going to be awesome. So I'm super excited.
Are you going to slap Halloween ends on the end of that?
Yeah, November 2nd, Danny will do Halloween Ends.
Nice.
And for the full schedule, you can see it in the credits of this video, along with all the awesome people in the B-Movie Kevin, including Mummy B-Movie.
Mummy B-Movie. I need to meet Mummy B-Movie so we can talk about all the English things.
You too. All right, thank you again, Kevin.
Thanks,
and Amy
Kevin.
in the chat, and everybody else who's been here tonight. You guys are awesome. All right, guys, and until we meet again, blessed be.